Welcome to the Gray Area. The Gray Area Media. We've obligated ourselves to be the voice for all communities, speaking on topics that include community, religion, education, politics, technology, sports, health, and wellness. The Gray Area Media is a platform created by longtime friends for the sole purpose of providing our communities with the ability to voice current, past, and modern-day issues. The Gray Area, in its naming significance, solely speaks to the area in which people shy away from speaking because of media-based constraints or contractual-based obligations. Well, I'm here to tell you, we don't do that here. So please, stay tuned in. We're going to go live in a few minutes. Don't forget, please add us as a friend on Facebook so that you can follow our live feed. And not only that, please add us on Twitter and Instagram at The Gray Area Media. Please visit our website at www.thegrayareamedialive.com. Thank you. Hello, Facebook. We are live right now. This is The Gray Area, and this is your boy, Ray E.
This is your boy, P. Wills.
And this is Ebony.
Ebony in the building. And we have 4 special guests for you guys today. 3 of them have been here before. One is his first time. Pete Leonard, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
How you doing?
I have a bean.
I have a bean.
We're going to go into what that is, where you got that name from, and what you're doing as your organization. We got Ace Williams back. Ace Project. I mean to put your government out there, but you know. But Ace Project in the building. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
That's good. D. Ross.
Yo.
With the Ross Foundation.
What's good?
How you doing, man?
It's a pleasure.
Yo, you've been moving around the states.
Yeah.
In and out the state moving. That's good, man. That's progress. And my man Dominic Dorsey with Don't Sleep.
Hey, man, what's going on?
How you doing, fella?
You got it.
All right. First of all, I just want to let y'all see this beautiful trophy real quick. Get used to seeing this trophy because
last time it will sit on this desk.
The Hood Classic is coming up, and the Gray Area is going to claim that. I just want to let y'all know right now ahead of time. So
I'm bringing it to the studio so that y'all can say y'all got close to it, that y'all touched it, that y'all know what it looks like.
You know, take a good look at that.
Worse than last time. There's still some slots available too, so if there's some teams out there that want that smoke.
If there's some teams that want to be a part of the Hood Classic, where do they need to go to
They go to naptowndon'tsleep.org.
Naptowndon'tsleep.org.
Yep. They can go straight to the website. They can get on there, log in. There is a sign-up form. Got to have your waivers. Make sure that all the waivers are turned in. $30 per team that takes care of all of the equipment and the referees that we're paying for the day. It's going to be at Arlington High School on the, the 14th of October.
The 14th. Wait, he ain't even gonna make it.
I started to say the 16th.
That's what you do. You try to tell people the wrong date, so we show up.
Yeah, he trying to trick us.
Everybody forfeited, so you got the trophy.
Yeah, all to go. No, October 14th at Arlington High School, and Arlington Cheer Squad and Arlington, their Student Government Association is partnering with us. So
nice.
They're gonna be running the concession stands for the day, so it's gonna be good.
That's awesome. Bring your sweaters. You know, after the first week in October, you know, it get a little chilly, so be ready.
Bring your knee pads.
Bengay and knee pads.
I mean, first of all, what position do you plan to play?
I plan to play everything. Now look, I can run, I can catch, I can throw. But see, I got secret weapons.
What's the rules?
I'm
you play one position.
No NFL football players.
Look, it's 7-on-7, so you don't have to be a specific position. So if you have one play you want to play quarterback,
okay, so
play center,
he's going to be he's going to be a Lawrence Taylor. Out there. He's gonna be like the guy from the what's that movie called the
Longest Yard?
the program.
Y'all bringing all the waters.
The program. The linebacker, man, the dude that was arguing.
The last Boy Scout.
Yeah, man, that's you.
All right, check this out, y'all. We got some very important things that we need to discuss today. One being getting felons back into the community. People have been locked up in mass numbers over the past 20 to 25 years, and a lot of these guys are just getting out. Some have going in today for small petty crimes and getting out. And as we know, when you have a felony, it's difficult to get a job. It's difficult to get back into society, especially if you've been incarcerated for 15, 20 years and trying to get your ground back. But Pete's been doing something very awesome. I Have a Bean is your company,
It is.
and you guys make it a point to hire ex-felons. Can you go into what your company is and why you guys do that?
No problem. We are coffee roasters. We're in the western suburbs of Chicago. We roast coffee that's rated in the top 1% of all the coffee in the world. So you
Nice.
can't get higher quality coffee than what we have. We do that for really two reasons. Life's too short for bad coffee. I love
Right.
coffee.
Me too.
That's good because you're going to get to taste some here in a little bit.
Okay.
But number two, unfortunately, most of society views people who have been in prison as being in the bottom 1% of quality.
Wow.
They don't want anything to do with somebody who's been in prison from fear or whatever, right? In biblical times, there were lepers, and
Right.
it was, I'm unclean, stay away, and that's kind of how we view, unfortunately, felons.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong.
Yeah,
So
Absolutely.
at I Have a Bean, we're roasting coffee rated in the top 1% to show that people who have a felony conviction, just because they have one, doesn't mean they're not capable of great things
Right.
anyway.
Wow.
So how'd you come up with that name? I
That's
Have a Bean.
there's a long story to that, and I'm going to make it really short.
Okay.
We started roasting. Our company name is Second Chance Coffee Company.
Okay.
Now, since you know what we do, that makes sense.
Right.
But imagine seeing a bag of coffee on the shelf at a grocery store that says Second Chance Coffee. People are looking at it saying, what is second chance? Is that because it wasn't good enough the first time?
Yeah.
Right.
You need to roast it, right?
Like refried beans.
That's right. That's exactly recycled coffee. See, you get it. I didn't get that when I started with Second Chance Coffee. And so I had a couple of business partners at the time, and we realized we really needed to change the name. It took 9 months. Over a 9-month period, we had discussions with each other. We came up with 550 new names.
Oh my God.
For the business, and we couldn't agree on a name.
Wow.
We all had different outlooks on what was important. And so we finally hired a professional, a woman named Alexandra Watkins out of San Francisco.
Okay.
That's her business, naming companies
Nice.
and products.
Okay.
She charges a whole lot of money to do that.
Well, she's fantastic if she came up with I Have a Bean.
So she came up with I Have a Bean. It took her 10 days. She gave me 50 names to choose from,
Yeah.
all available on the internet, ranked them top to bottom, and she said, Pete, the name you need is I Have a Bean. Mm-hmm. And so it took us 3 more days of arguing. Yep, she's right.
Okay.
And that's what we went with.
So does the bean, is it like a what's the word I'm looking for? Metaphor for like dream?
You got it.
Okay.
I have a dream. You know right where that comes from.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Our dream today is that men and women won't be judged by the errors of their past,
Wow.
but will be known instead for the present evidence of the content of their character. So
Right.
that is right where
Absolutely,
that is.
yeah.
So we don't want preemptive judging for any reason,
Awesome.
right? We want to be known for who we are today, how are
Absolutely.
we living today. So that's really what,
That's
what
awesome.
that ties into.
That's beautiful, and that's how we should live. Right?
It is how we should live. How many of us really do that?
Right.
We work at it.
Right, and then I think the thing that's missing that I think that people forget is that we're all human.
Right.
Like, we all make mistakes. I know people that we went to school with that got locked up for major things, but it was a mistake that they made, and they have a hard time working. Like, got a degree, they've gotten to the maximum, of what you need to do to be a model citizen, and because of that blemish back then, it just
right.
makes it difficult. It's always chasing you. And I've always, I think that I wanted to come up with this thing where I think that people should be able to work their felonies away.
Okay.
And so I feel like if you got a felony for whatever reason, you should be placed in a program where you can work, and if you get in no trouble over a certain period of time, it could be for the remainder of the time that you were locked up. But as long as you complete that and you get out of it, then they should be able to like expunge that felony.
So that's I was just talking with Ace about this earlier, right? Same kind of thing. So
Yeah.
the way I've been thinking about it is, if you get a bankruptcy,
Yeah.
right? If you're clean for 7 years, you can get that bankruptcy gone. Okay. What about a felony? You get out of prison, you're clean for 7 years, you work. I don't know that necessarily has to be in a program. I haven't thought all this through, but same concept, right?
Right.
You don't get in trouble, you're living the right life for 7 years. To me, it should go away. Automatic expungement gone
Right.
off your record.
Right.
That's what I would like to see happen. So I'm just starting to talk to people about that and trying to plant that, and I'm glad you're doing the same kind of thing. I think that's what should
absolutely. I
happen.
mean, I think that should happen. I got family members, that are sweet as, I don't know what, and you know them, you know their character, you know who they are, but
Right.
something, mistake that they made, or
Right.
in dealing with someone else, it wasn't their fault.
Right.
And they got in some trouble, and now that's a blemish on their record. So,
Yep.
it's unfortunate, but there should definitely be ways to remove that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm 100% agreement with that.
Absolutely.
All felonies?
No, not.
Okay.
I would say.
Is, pedophile?
No,
or
no.
Racist?
No.
Listen, I hire everybody.
Okay.
I don't discriminate on who I hire, because, and this is with this in mind, what the law labels you as is not necessarily the story
Okay.
of you.
Good point.
So I can't go with what the label is. It's the
person.
what is your story? What is right? Who are you?
Right.
And maybe the law calls you a pedophile. That doesn't mean you really are one, right? Yes, there are some people. So I don't think it should be. I think the expungement or the erasure, or whatever we're going to call it, it's automatically eligible in 7 years. And unless somebody steps up and says, yeah, okay, so they haven't gotten in trouble, but let me tell you what I know about what they have done and haven't gotten caught for. There might be some reason to say, maybe not for you,
Right.
but not for a whole class of people because they have a certain label. I don't think that's right.
Yeah, and I'm real specific about that. Like when I was thinking about putting that program together, to me, I separated like murderers and like sex crimes, and like because it's more difficult to get something like that done. If you petty crimes like weed or or something petty like battery, like, not that battery is petty, but I think that like a sex crime or murder is like, that's difficult. You may have to go through a different type of program, which I can't even fathom because I can't even imagine what people are going through. But the problem with our system is that there's a lot of innocent people that are put in place in these places, and they're getting like, what do you call it? They're getting excused from their crimes or whatever because they found evidence based on new DNA or whatever. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
But you have stuff like that, which it's unavoidable. It's just there's flaws in the system that people get locked up, and especially in the 80s when there was no DNA tests and all this other crazy stuff was going on.
50 years later, exonerated because of DNA evidence.
Yeah, right. So people are being 20 years of your life, and then some states like Indiana, what is it, like $75 or something? Like there's something crazy. I don't even think they pay you. Like if you get locked up for 20 years for something you didn't do and then you get out, some states have a something in the law that allows you to get a certain amount of money, and then states like Indiana don't have anything at all.
Right.
You get out, you just
you
get
have
out.
to sue the state, right, to get
Right,
that.
right. So
what's your hiring process? Is it just open hire, or do you have a screening process?
Oh boy, do we have a screening process?
Okay, so how does that work? Because
Yeah.
I imagine
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So this is the way it works. I mean, there are a number. Let me back up. This is my fourth company.
Okay.
I've hired people for 30 years doing various things. So I understand the interview process, and really, I don't have any different expectations for the people I hire today than what I did 20 years ago, hiring professional people into computers and networking and that sort of thing. So there are things we look for. There are more things I look for somebody coming out of prison. So here's the deal. At the end of the day, I have a for-profit business that we're running, and we have to stay in business or we can't do the mission.
Very true.
Right? So that's the most important thing. So I still need people with the skills that I need for the business, and I ignore the fact that you have a felony.
I see.
Having a felony doesn't automatically make you hireable. I don't think having a felony should automatically make you unhireable
Just
either.
make sure you're eligible.
Right.
Right. It makes you eligible at my company, right?
Okay.
You have to check the box
Right.
on my application. It's there.
Right.
Because I want to make sure you really do have a felony conviction before I bring you through that
Right.
process. I cannot hire anywhere close to the number of people that are coming to me asking for work.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it's a huge problem. 700,000 people a year in the U.S., over 20,000 a year in Chicagoland alone, every year getting released from prison who need to find work. Now, not everybody wants to work, right? So part of my job is trying to figure out who's blowing smoke and who's really
Right.
gotten to the bottom, flipped things around, and they want to do something different. So there is a process, and there are references that we check all the references. We used to do an FBI background check, but with Google, I don't need to do that anymore. You can find out anything about anybody.
Yep,
Right.
that's true.
Very true.
So that's not necessary anymore, but we do look at that. But some real simple things, and I'll just go through some quick numbers with you. First of all, if you want an application for employment and you have a felony, you're the one that has to ask for it. It can't be your mom, it can't be your grandma, it can't be your brother.
Right.
They all care about you,
Right.
but you're the one that has to decide, I want to do this. That's number one. So
Right.
we get grandmas all the time saying, can you send me an application for little Johnny or whoever it
You
is,
don't want
right?
to work at all.
Right.
No, I'm not going to send it.
Right.
If he comes to the office or sends me an email, absolutely. Okay, so if there were 100 post-prison men or women who ask for an application, 50% of them will actually fill it out and turn it back in. The other 50%, never hear from them again. There are all kinds of reasons for that. Sometimes they're just in a program that says you need to go try and find 3 jobs a day, and I need proof that you did it. Okay, well, here's the application, here's the, right? So there's that. Out of the 50 that turn it in, and we'll call all of them for an interview, half of them will not show up for the interview.
Wow.
Half.
Wow.
Okay, so now I'm down to 25%. I'm down to 25 people from the first 100. So now I schedule an interview with you, and let's say you say you're going to be there at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Well, you better be early. You better be there at 8:50, and you better have gotten there on your own. Sure. It could be the public transportation or whatever, but if you have to rely on your grandma to bring you to work, then you're not going to be a reliable employee. And the fact is, we're a tiny little company, and everybody has to pull all their weight all the time, or we're not going to succeed. So if you're going to be late to your job interview, the thing that you're desperate to get a job, you're never going to be on time as an employee, and that puts everybody else in my company and my customers behind where I want them to be. So we're looking for really simple things that people who haven't spent time in prison, we just know that stuff, right? We know what society expects of us. If you've spent a lot of time in prison, you know what prison expects of you.
Yeah.
And you know what you had to do to stay alive in there, but you can't act that way out here.
Right.
So it's things like that. And then we look for references. We get a lot of references from moms and dads and uncles, pastors, small group leaders, social workers. I've even gotten a reference from the judge who put the guy away 9 years before.
Wow.
Who said, this is not the same guy that I sent away 9 years ago.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so it's that kind of thing, and a bunch more, but that kind of gives you a feel for what we're looking at.
So what is the pay rate?
So it's not minimum wage.
Okay.
It's above minimum wage. So, but it also varies with how much time you've been on the job, the skills that you develop. So right now it's between $9 and $15 an hour.
Okay.
That's good for full-time work, and then sales work. So I've got salespeople. We sell coffee, right?
Sure.
It doesn't sell by itself.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a commission thing, and sky's the limit. And the fact is, there is no position in my company that is closed to somebody that has a felony.
Wow.
Every single job, every single full-time employee that I have, they all have the same key to the company that I do.
Nice.
And what I tell them in the interview, if I can't trust you, you can't work here.
Right.
But if I trust you,
Right.
then I trust you.
Right.
Here's the key. And I can't tell you, that's a simple thing that we do, but the fact of us giving that level of trust to people who aren't trusted by the people that know them, or the family or neighborhood or whatever, because of what they did, that one thing turns the tables for people. And it's like, holy cow.
Do you have, because of the base of people that you hire in regards to that, do you have a turnover rate, like a high turnover rate, or does
That's a good question.
do people come in and out of the door because of the caliber of people that you hire?
So some people come in and out. There are some people that make it through the screening process and they're really blowing smoke and we shouldn't have hired them. There's a couple of those.
Yeah.
We set the business up as, I'm going to call it transitional employment friendly.
Okay.
But I've got people that have been with me for 6 years. If you love coffee and you want to stay in this business, you are welcome to stay. But if you've got, my first employee, his name is James, his heart's desire is auto mechanics. He was the first employee that I had. He was in prison for 9 years doing drugs in Chicago. He wanted to work mechanics. He roasted for me. I taught him how to roast coffee on our roasting machine that we invented for this purpose. 1 year later, he found work at, I don't know if I should say the name of the company. It's a major employer in Chicagoland, okay? Doing mechanic work on their trucks. Today, 5, 6, 7 years later, I can't believe it's been 7 years. 7 years later, he is the area manager for 5 states for this company, and all of the truck mechanics in those 5 states report to him.
Nice.
Wow.
He's making more money than everybody in my company combined. He drives a company truck. He drives by every once in a while with his hand on the steering wheel. Hey, Pete, how's it going? Right?
Wow.
James,
That's
good
awesome,
to see
man.
you.
That's a great story.
What states are you stationed in?
Yeah, so we ship to all 50 states, but I only have one roasting plant right now. And this is really supposed to be, we've set this up as the model roasting plant for our business. We want to be in every state in the country. What I really want is 72 roasting plants like the one we have in Wheaton, because there are post-prison people in every state, and fortunately there are people who drink coffee in every state.
Yeah.
So we want to roast and deliver the best coffee everywhere around. So it's really a national company with a local presence all over the place.
Yeah, is your sales team all over or just based in Chicago?
Right now they're just based in Chicago. There are 2 guys that are working on building what's called a sales and distribution center here in Indianapolis.
Oh, nice.
Right, so Nate is one, and another guy named Jason, and they are both working on making that happen, because what I want to do is put a roasting plant here.
Well, Nate's definitely a good guy.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Shout out, Mention Nate.
That's
Well,
right.
we hope.
You used the phrase post-prison people.
Yep.
Excuse me. And then you mentioned that you had some successes in terms of the guy you just mentioned. People who've been with your organization for a minute. So out of those individuals, do any of them serve as like a mentor role for new individuals who are coming through?
question.
Yep. So as a matter of fact, once they kind of take on this role almost naturally, it seems. They understand what people are going through when they first come out of prison, and they don't understand necessarily how society works and how employment works and what's expected of you. So it is my longer term employees taking under their own wing new employees when they come in. Now, we're not certified counselors or any of that kind of stuff, but you don't need to be to help people. There are some things you need. It would be really helpful to have that kind of skill, but you don't have to have that. What you really need is a heart. Are you concerned with somebody? And that somebody needs to be willing to listen, right? So we kind of all become de facto counselors at the business, and we talk about everything all the time.
That's awesome. I mean, because we all run into people who are having like issues with that. And it's just good to know that there's somebody out there that just genuinely wants to help these people get back on their feet. And it's not easy. Like, you don't make it easy. Like, you just can't come work for me because you got a felony.
Nope.
So you have to go through a process, and you have to want to work.
You have
That's
to want to
beautiful.
work. That's exactly right. Because I can tell you, If you don't want to work, then it's not going to work. It won't work for you, and that means it won't work for me. And my responsibility is to my other employees. I can't let you bring us down.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
You got to be somebody that builds us up, and
Right.
your best interest is in what's good for the company, and that's what's best for you.
Absolutely.
So you get that, and it's going to work, and you're going to go places. And yes, I've got hours worth of stories of people whose lives have been dramatically changed just by being able to come to work. We've got a couple of stories that are tragic ones as well. It's not all peaches
Right.
and cream or peaches and herb, whatever you want to use.
Right.
How long you guys been established?
So we established the building in June of 2007. It took 2 years to design and build our roasting machine, so we invented that from scratch. There is nothing like it on the planet, and we did it because of our social mission. And so we started roasting commercially in June of 2009. So we've grown about, okay, so this would be a nice big number, over 10,000% growth since then. But think about it. When you start off roasting 30 pounds of coffee your first month of business, 10,000% growth, that's still not a lot of coffee.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So do you guys, and this,
start, yeah.
do you guys, where do you get your beans from?
So all over the world. I brought some coffee for you guys today.
Absolutely.
And what I want to do, we get a chance. I've got a brewer here and that kind of thing. But so the coffee comes from all over the world. Yeah, you can smell, right? The whole room is full of the smell. All of this coffee was just roasted today.
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to thank you, man, for bringing us coffee to the
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, it's what I do.
Is this custom something that you do all the time? I see you got gray area written.
All the time.
all day.
So
Shout out to the gray area, man, for
The
having
gray area, that's right. So, absolutely. Your name is on the back. So that actually points to
Yeah.
there's a number of things we do differently than the rest of the coffee industry, and certainly our employment model is one of those things, and probably the most glaringly obvious thing that's different than everybody else.
Sure.
Right? There are other
Making
companies
it personal.
that employ people that have a felony conviction, but not in coffee. So yes, so we make it personal. This name on the bag, it says the gray area, is handwritten by Fernando.
Nice.
He signed the bag. He's the guy that roasted the coffee today, and he put a date on it for the date that he roasted it.
His
It's
handprint looks like it's a print.
It looks like a machine
It's
did
like a
it.
font.
Yeah, exactly
Let me
right.
see if I can show
I
that.
should have the Fernando font.
He should have his own font.
Listen,
Fernando
Yeah.
something intentional.
I thought it was printed
I
on.
thought it was printed on there the whole time.
handwritten.
It's written.
Skills.
Yeah, he's got
That's
skills.
right. He's
Definitely
got skills. That's exactly right.
If I look at the 9, I can tell it's a little bit little smudged a little bit. But
Yeah.
other than that, I thought this was dead printed off.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I say, where's our Don't Sleep brand coffee? That sounds like a brand.
Yeah, it could very well
Don't
be.
sleep.
Don't sleep. Coffee.
Don't sleep.
Don't sleep brand coffee. Don't sleep endorsed. I have never sleep again.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yep. So the other thing
Yeah.
that's different, this coffee was roasted today. You got it today, and we do that with everyone. If you order coffee today, we roast it today. You get it today. Now,
Wow.
I can only do that. Yeah, so I can only do that if you're local to our roasting plant, right? Which is why I want a roasting plant in Indy, and
Absolutely.
one in San Francisco, and 13 in New York City. New York City will support 13 roasting plants.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's why we want to do it that way, because there's nothing like fresh roasted coffee. It's like bread that comes out of the oven, right? You
Absolutely.
either bake it or your mom bakes it. When it comes out of the oven, it's still warm. You cut that and you put some butter on there. It's so great.
Yeah.
You can buy bread at the grocery store. It's bread, nothing like what's fresh coming out of the oven.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing with coffee.
Absolutely. That's great, man. Well, we appreciate you and applaud you for what you're doing for the community and as a service, because you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, you may think I don't have to do that. I have to do it. I am compelled
absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
do this. I cannot do anything else.
What drives you, man, to do it then?
Yep. So I will tell you what drives me. There's the thing that got me started, and then the thing that keeps me going. So the thing that got me started is watching what happened to my brother-in-law when he got arrested and put in prison. Now, he's not your normal brother-in-law. He's got 147 IQ. That puts him in the genius
Absolutely.
category. He is the smartest guy that I know, smartest guy I've ever known. Mathematician, computer programmer, database engineer. He's got a lot of skill. He got out of prison because he had to check that box. He couldn't get work either. And I thought, if he can't get work, how does somebody like Ace get work? Right? I don't know what your IQ is.
I don't know what it is.
I don't think you've been around long enough to be a database programmer and that kind of thing. But Rick has. And so just watching that was the first thing that got me thinking, there's a problem. And then I realized how big it was. I got invited to a fundraising dinner where I learned the stats that I told you, 700,000 people, 20,000, that kind of thing. It's like, oh, I've heard this story before. I know somebody, I love somebody that this is happening to right now. And at the time I was thinking, well, somebody should do something about that.
Absolutely.
And going home and then starting to have breakfast with a friend of mine who invited me to that dinner. And I go to church and I led a missions trip to Brazil. That's where I started to learn about coffee roasting.
Okay.
It just felt like God was saying, yeah, it's not somebody, Pete. It's you.
Yeah.
You need to do something about this. And
Right.
just thinking about that and praying about that, I started to realize all the things that I've done in my life track has prepared me to do this work.
That's awesome. Wow.
So I can't do anything else but this.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's powerful, man.
And it's so hard for people to find that thing that drives them. It's like we don't pay attention to it, but it keeps calling us, right?
It keeps calling.
Like, we didn't wake up and say we were going to be in media, but it found its way, right? You know what I'm saying? We didn't even go to school for this, but we're here.
Yep.
So it's just that thing that I feel you. It's that thing that calls you. You can't go to sleep.
That's right.
But man, that's just great, man. And tying that into work, we have a lot of workers in this country, a lot of young people from different ethnicities and different backgrounds. And what's going on here recently is DACA is being removed, which was huge for. I'll let Dom talk on that. He's been doing a lot of research and really fighting against that. So I'll let you research or tell the people what it is, DACA, and then what's happening in this country and why it's going on.
So DACA is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. Most of the DACA recipients here in the country are actually average age 26 and higher. It's about 800,000 dreamers, individuals, recipients of the DREAM Act, who actually they pushed forward the agenda to make DACA a thing. So we're talking about individuals who had no choice in being brought to this country.
Right.
They were children. Through no fault of their own, they are now living, working, going to school as Americans. What DACA does is it gives them essentially the ability to go to school, have a work visa, but they're paying for it, right?
Right.
So this is something they got to pay like $500 to renew.
Yeah.
Every year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Every 2
Every
years.
2 years.
Every 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So again, all of the fear mongering about them getting any type of benefits that other individuals don't have, any type of restitution that other individuals don't have, them stealing jobs, none of it's true. It's all fear mongering. They don't get access to a lot of the benefits that you or I would be able to have access to. But at the same token, they are our first responders, they are educators, they are working in all of the industries that we're working in as Americans. So just imagine you've been living in America, you've been living in any country, your home country of origin, for 26 some odd years. And all of a sudden, because of some legislation, an actual act that's been pulled away, you could potentially have someone say, okay, we're going to deport you to a country that you know nothing about,
Right.
surrounded by people that you really don't know, ripped away from your home, ripped away from your family, ripped away from your friends, ripped away from your job, things that you've worked hard to. There are people who made businesses. There could be another potential, coffee owner, operator, media company, mogul, people who have jobs and businesses that have contributed to this economy. They're essentially being told that, we don't have value in you being here. And the narrative has been dominated predominantly by Latinos and Latinx populations. There's about 400,000 black immigrants.
That's what I was going to say. This isn't just like Latino. A lot of people are just ignorant and they just think that it's we're getting rid of the Latino people. No, this is like Russians, Germans. I mean, like, it's so many people.
Anybody who came to this country, there's really the legislation, the type of policies and things that have been enacted by this current regime is essentially targeting everybody who's not white, straight, cis, and rich, period. It's really one of those, who's going to be next type of scenarios. You've seen individual communities have their rights or any progressive type of policies that have been put in place to give them quote unquote equality being ripped away brick by brick. So, we've had much more conversation about building walls than we have about pathways to citizenship. Again, these are 800,000 some odd people that have been in this country forever. Instead of saying, okay, you're here, you've been working here, you've been educated here, you're embedded into the fabric of this country, let's find ways for you to become naturalized, quote unquote. No, they much rather say, you got to get out. And that's all these ICE forces and things are doing. So the pathways to citizenship have been earmarked by people who are incompetent, and also can be seen as individuals who are driving. I was at a DACA rally. What day was that? Maybe Tuesday. It was actually Tuesday, the day that it was announced that they were going to start repealing it. A young woman, Elizabeth, was at the podium talking about how she was an immigrant in a non-traditional sense, that her father actually took her across the border to Tijuana before she was born, but originally she was going to be born in San Diego, and she didn't know her last name because that part had been in some way, shape, or form kept from her, but it took her until like her 34th birthday before she found out that she was a citizen at age 13. Because when they sent her paperwork, they had her mother's age on her document and her age on her mother's document.
Oh, man.
Wow. So that level of incompetence had her take an extra 20 some odd years before she was able to actually get her stuff.
Wow.
So now she's got dual citizenship in both Mexico and the United States. But it took her to her 34th birthday before she was able to actually get that stuff certified.
Right. Wow.
And that's just one person's story. And this is somebody who's actually able to go through the process and say, yes, I've got my citizenship. But now you have people here who, they're on DACA status. They're having to renew it every 2 years. They're in school, they may not even have graduated. Well, now they're worried about, okay, it's not a question of if, but when, I'm a citizen, I'm an American, I live here, but you've got people and policies telling me that I don't, and that I could be booted.
And not to mention it's deferred, it's not permanent.
No.
That's where, and then
It's
also,
always in flux.
And even going along with that fee, even being able to travel and come back is another $500 almost.
And I'll play devil's advocate. I'm with you, but I've been seeing this as a talking point to go against that. So some would say that why would we want to keep them on this system of flux where it's up and down and they continuously play and they could actually be citizens. So a lot of people are saying that why we should remove that because it's better for them to try to become a citizen. That way they're a citizen forever as opposed to this. So,
Well, then you hear what Jeff Sessions said, right? He's already out here saying we can't let everybody in. They're not looking for pathways to citizenship. They're looking for pathways to export people back out, right? They're building a wall to prevent folks from getting in. So the inscription on the Statue of Liberty doesn't mean anything anymore. We saw how they treated refugees. They're not looking to have anybody be here. They're not. So even if, look at healthcare. Look how repeal and replace has worked. Ain't no replacement. It's just repeal. So even though it's a deferred action, it was a deferred action under duress because the Congress in place at that point wasn't ready to put into pathways for citizenship to make it easier of a process. So if we remove that, that's the one little sliver of hope that we had. Why not keep that in place until we get that? Right. But you want to take everything off the table.
Right.
So do you think that because Trump, he didn't stop.
No, he said he's going to scale it back.
Right. He's giving Congress 6 months to fix it. So what is this fixing? Because everything I've studied and read, it never says exactly what are we fixing, and it sounds just like the Obamacare, removing of that. What is the fix?
I don't think they have it yet.
If there is one.
I don't think they have it yet. And I don't have any faith in the government right now to put that in place. But what I can say is, I say this in my privilege. I say this as someone who's, been born in this country. I don't have any of those same fears. My fears are very different than my siblings, right? But I'm taking the lead from individuals who are experiencing this on a regular basis. So, you won't see Don't Sleep leading the charge on the DACA march. We're following IUIA, which is the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance.
Okay.
Right? So we're taking their lead. So we got events and things that we're going to and meetings that they're holding where they're telling us what it is that they need. Because you got a lot of people saying, okay, this is what you're experiencing, this is what you need to do. No, you're intimately affected. You have a day-to-day process with this. You tell me what you need. Because it may not look like on its face something immediately, running out and doing legislation and making phone calls. It may look like something like, just give me a moment to breathe. Everybody's calling them up and saying, hey, we need to march, we need to rally. What are y'all going to do? Y'all want to do a press conference? Can I just process the fact of how this legislation or how this announcement affects me personally? Just give me a minute to deal with it, type stuff.
Right.
And we have to give people the opportunity to do that.
I'm sorry. I just
y'all here.
he's reading me, having to look like I want to say something,
Go
so
ahead.
he knows when the key
Go ahead, slide the
to
mic.
swing the mic over.
Yeah, I got you. I
He
hear you.
reads the body language. But I did have a question as far as, because I've seen a lot of people who have made statements such as, and you probably know where I'm going with this. Why aren't we getting the same reciprocity when it comes to things that are our issues, as far as coming to our aid and saying, what can we do? How can we help?
I need you to be
Black Lives Matter. How can we help black people in this, and this?
Yeah.
So what do you say to that?
I will say that in terms of the demographics and who we're looking at, we know that colorism is an issue. We look at the way that black people in society, well, even though we're talking about the immigrants who are black, there's a reason why they're erased from the narrative, right?
Right.
So there's always going to be this issue of racism in this country, but anti-blackness has always been a thing, right? And no matter what community we're talking about, and this is not to say that individuals within the Latinx community has not been a member of or helped with the Black Lives Matter movement, but when we're talking about other communities coming to the aid of, you know what I mean? There's always been this fear of blackness. There's always been this criminalization of blackness. There's always been this, well, what did they do? You know, let's wait and see type of mentality, rather than, well, let's really think about it. These are individuals who are here against their will. There's a much different narrative around DACA recipients than there are around Black Lives Matter. DACA recipients have never been painted as a terrorist group. Black Lives Matter has, you know.
Which group you talking about?
Well, I mean, so which group are you talking about?
Well, I mean, going back to your original statement that DACA is just not a Latino and Hispanic population. So,
but they don't look at black folks who are immigrants as DACA recipients. When you talk about the dominant narrative, that's just now starting to come out. There's organizations that specialize or are specifically dealing with people from African countries or black countries who are also undocumented immigrant citizens here.
Right.
But those aren't the dominant groups that are being seen. When you look at the rallies and things of that nature, it's all around Latinx populations. And that's not to say that they shouldn't have a voice or that they don't, but it's to say that erasure is real, and we're still talking about how America can tolerate racism in degrees, right? So it's like, okay, well, you know, Latin folks, you know, they can be bad hombres, but niggas is niggas is niggas. You know, they don't want to deal with those.
Right.
But when black and brown get down, that'll really be an issue for the white supremacist power structure. Because now we're starting to see this trend where, okay, how many times can people be oppressed and nobody show up? So we don't have to be the ones with our chip on our shoulder saying, well, y'all didn't show up for us. Well, we're showing up for you because maybe you thought that we didn't care, but we're here. Right. Or you thought that we didn't want your help, but we do. So we're here for you, and our fight hasn't gone away. Our fight's continuing. We didn't put the banner down just because this is something that you're dealing with. We're still dealing with it. We can just help you as well, because we can't be free till y'all get free. And then when we all get free, that's real liberation. Otherwise, all we want is privilege.
Right. 5 years from now, where, Dorsey, where do you want to be as far as like you and the programs that you're doing with Don't Sleep and, you know, everything? Like, where do you want to be, and where do you want Don't Sleep and just, you know, people to be 5 years from now?
I don't want to have conversations like this 5 years from now, number one. But I don't see that as a reality. I want freedom tomorrow. I don't see that as a reality. The things that I feel like us as a people should have, I may not see in my lifetime. But the goal is to continue to move, right? You know, y'all know Brandon Cosby. You know, the most important thing that he ever told me is, you know, when you're talking about movements, it's not overnight. It's not one fell swoop. It's about putting enough pressure so that the needle moves, right? So we just got to keep moving the needle and keep collaborating and unifying communities, because community sustainability is not just about one community being self-sustained. It's about everybody having true equity. Right? So when we're talking about freedom in terms of equity, that means for black people, that means freedom from police brutality. That means freedom to be able to have food security. That means freedom to have educational security. Everybody should have that. But we don't deal with police brutality the same way that Latinx communities do. But they do fear ICE. We don't have to deal with ICE like that. So their equity, their form of freedom is different from ours, but we still have to fight for freedom on both fronts. So we have to look at everything the way that it comes and continue to fight together and find out ways that we can not rest on our laurels and not get comfortable, like i.e. the civil rights movement. Like, we get to a certain part, we got what we asked for, we're good. We have to stay vigilant, keep fighting, and get to a point where we don't have to worry about these things and not get caught off guard.
Right. Man. And
Ebony wanted
Now,
to
when
say
you-
something.
go ahead.
Right,
She's like, give me
now
the
when,
mic.
now when you say, I guess going back to the same, our struggles or those two
Equity
issues not
types of-
being parallel, but if you look at the root motivation of,
In terms of racism.
in terms of, right, well, not even just the racism, if you go back to the motivation, it goes back to terrorism, it goes back to racism. So if you look at that, we're still equally identified, black people, terrorists, and not even in the form of international terrorists.
Okay.
I'm talking about national terrorists. So we do have that same similar identity.
I guess,
when it comes
yeah.
to which one actually takes precedence over who should be on whose side of the struggle, I guess.
I guess
it's
for
the
me,
same thing.
it's a situation of when I think of domestic terrorists, I don't think of black or Latino people.
Well, I'm saying that's how they view us.
Well,
That's how they view us.
Well, the crazy thing about white supremacy, and then when you read through some of the tweets and stuff like that, you'll see the indignant remarks. Like somebody was like, oh, well, DACA is like you stole somebody's bike and then you gave it to the kid, and then the kid one day realizes it's not theirs, and you say, oh, you can't have it, it's their bike now. When white supremacy is you come to a country that's not yours, and then you tell other people who can and can't come in it, right? Those are the issues that we're really dealing with. Everything else is a misdirection. So when we're talking about these communities and stuff, it's not necessarily about who hates us and why. It's about how do we get free and what do we need.
Right.
So it's like, okay, so if we have Latinx populations, individuals who are immigrants, they could be from any number of countries. They could be from, Asia Pacific Island countries. They could be from anywhere, right? What do you need? You need a pathway to citizenship. It's not about you not paying taxes, because you do. You do pay taxes.
Yeah.
They're paying
Okay,
taxes
that's true.
consistently.
Right.
It's not as if they're not working, right? They're taking a lot of jobs that don't nobody else want, right? It's not about that.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It's
sure.
all these other misdirections. What is it really about? You know what I mean? If they are coming to this country for a better way of life, if that's what the Statue of Liberty said, bring us your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Either we're going to abide by that or we're not. Period. That's what it's really about. We have to get to this point in time where we stop looking at separating everything and saying, well, that's your struggle, this is my struggle, we don't intersect. All of it intersects. It's the true definition of intersectionality. If we're going to talk about immigration impacting folks, then we have to talk about immigration impacting folks that aren't Latino. And there's a reason why the narrative is shaped that way, because they don't want anybody to collaborate. All this stuff
Right.
is
You know what was crazy is that I seen, and I like Dr. Boyce Watkins, but I think he was a little off the mark on a conversation that he had in regards to black folks and Latinos, because I think the narrative, the discussion was all based around why are we fighting for Latinos in regards to DACA and they won't fight for us, and I was just like,
that was going to be my question.
that didn't really sit with me, but I think his point was a financial point. So I kind of understand his angle from a financial perspective, because they do corral and get together and build internally. We don't do that. And then he's saying, when something comes up like for Black Lives Matter, you don't see the Latino, what is it? There's a group, a foundation that represents the Latinos in this country. You don't see them marching with Black Lives Matter or.
Well, it may not be in mass, but something else that you got to remember too. If we're talking about individuals who are in this country and they're not documented, you really want them taking frontline stances with law enforcement? You really want them putting themselves in a situation where they can be arrested and then possibly deported in the process?
That's a very good
So,
point.
you know what I mean? It's all about doing things strategically. You know what I mean? Even when we're doing stuff as Black Lives Matter, you know what I mean? There's a reason why we have white allies. Will you be willing as a white ally or as a white accomplice, which is even better, to put yourself on the front line, put your body on the line and be arrested in order to make a disruption? Why? Because if I get arrested and they give me a rap sheet, I'm not going to get out the same night.
Right.
They're not going to make sure that I have, legal representation and all this type of stuff. You would have a completely different experience engaging with the criminal justice system than I would. So it's about being strategic. Just because there's not a national movement or an organization of white people who are coming to the aid of Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that there's not white people who are supporting it.
Right.
And the same thing with Latinos. There's a lot of Latinos who have the privilege or the ability or the want to engage in ways that are a little bit more direct action. And then there's those who don't. But there's a lot of black folks who don't engage with the Black Lives Matter movement like that.
Yeah.
And why you feel that?
Why do I feel that there's black folks that don't engage with the Black Lives Matter movement? The same reason I felt like there was a lot of black folks that didn't engage with the civil rights movement.
Why don't they engage?
I think a lot of it's misinformation. I think a lot of it is this love affair that we have with respectability politics.
Right.
So you see the meme that's shared, it's like, oh, this is when they respected us. And you see Martin Luther King and, all the other people walking down the street in the middle of the street with suits on. They walking down the middle of the street, number one. So is that not in some way, shape, or form breaking the law? People don't remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge. They wasn't getting hit with bricks and having dogs sicked on them.
Right.
The fact that black people were standing up for themselves in and of itself was considered to be disrespectful. How dare you offend those good white folks? All white folks ain't bad. We got a good thing. Don't mess it up. But as soon as it got to a point where we could get a hint of freedom, then you started seeing folks peeking their head out. Right. If King was alive today, he's like, you wouldn't shoot me with me in the gym. You know what I mean? Like, people want to come at the end of it and claim the spoils of freedom, but they don't necessarily want to fight for it.
They don't want to do the work.
Right. So you have people, respectability has never saved us, period. You can go all the way back to Nat Turner. If there was never a Nat Turner rebellion, if it was never a situation where black people took their own freedom, would we have it? Or do we have to wait for people to give us? Do we have to wait for the system to work? How does the system work? We've seen the way the system works.
I do think in regards to that, and being in America, in this country, it's more of a capitalistic system. There's ways that you intertwine yourselves to make an impact. One of the big things is money. We know that you can't move any dial on anything unless you have power, which is in regards to money. Now, everybody doesn't do that, but, we can. My thing is like we have to figure out a way to move that dial, and it's not going to be by always just marching or always just speaking. We have to become economically, financially equipped, mentally, education-wise. We have to get into the realm of wanting to be politicians and get into these areas where we can. And I know it's a slippery slope.
Well, it's not even as a slippery slope. It's not an either or. It's and both. So at the same token, we have people who are in suites and are in positions of power.
Not enough.
But it's slow. It's incremental.
Right.
Think about the people who are in Congress. We got some lifers, right? Folks that are in no way, shape, or form ready to get out of their seat until they die.
Right.
Then you got people who are in the street who are doing things very strategically. There's a lot of money wrapped up in Black Lives Matter. There's a lot of money wrapped up in these organizations.
And that's changing. That's changing a lot.
There's a lot of people who are starting up 501c3s, but the bad thing about it is money corrupts people too.
Right.
And the other piece about it is people are fickle when it comes to movements that involve money. So when you think about the Montgomery bus boycott, how long did that last? It was more than a month.
It was like years.
You know what I mean? But you can't get people to boycott something local for like 30 days. Ask somebody to boycott McDonald's for more than 30 days.
It goes back to that not having no unity inside the black community. So how do we come together and put that together? Because how can we support DACA, and try to get them and show our support with them, but we don't even have unity within ourselves. And it's cool to support them, but to get their support, but we need to try to get our own people to support too.
We have to take accountability, which is something that we neglect to do. I want to go back to what he, you said that you didn't want to have these type of conversations 5 years from now, but you think, and I'll paraphrase, but you think that's impossible. To me, that type of mindset, and you can feel how you want to feel, but that's like fighting a dead horse. I mean, you're always going to be marching, always going to be fighting because you have it instilled in your mind that nothing will ever change. I don't ever feel like that. I mean, I feel like that's part of what we created this platform for. Is so 5 years from now, hopefully these conversations won't happen. You being a white man, I'm sorry, but that's what you are. And
I'm glad you did notice. Okay, that's good.
I mean, what do you think? What do you think it would take for blacks and whites, and I'll just use blacks and whites, in this country, to not have conversations like this 5 years from now?
Yeah, and that is I wish there was a silver bullet to solve that problem, and I don't know that there's no easy answer, or we'd already have arrived there.
Sure. Okay.
So I can speak from my own experience, and I'm going to relate this to what I do with post-prison people.
Absolutely.
Right? So it gets back to labels, and I don't see post-prison people as a label of any kind. I see each one as an individual person, and I get to know them as people, and so it's beyond integration, right? There are integrated neighborhoods, but there are not neighbors. Neighbors that are doing things together of different races. We still huddle in our own little groups, whatever it is, right? Go to Chicago, right? How many communities are there? And they're race-based.
Right.
Every one of them.
Right.
So Chicago is the most integrated community in the world. It's also the most segregated because we don't cross. You don't cross Austin Avenue in Chicago from the north to the south and the other way around in certain communities. So can we get to a point where we live in community with each other, not just in the same general geographic area, but I mean, look at church. My church is mostly white. The Wheaton, the community I live in is 98% white. My employee base, I employ the people that are in that community. Believe it or not, there are white people that are felons, and I employ a bunch of them.
Right.
And Filipino and black and Latino. It doesn't matter to me. It's not that you can't see color clearly, right? You recognized I'm a white person. But I don't let that be the judge of who you are and my relationship with you, because I know you. And it's been that way my whole life. I've lived by the time I was 21, I'd lived in 24 different places. I know people in all kinds of communities. So that color, race, socioeconomic status, that doesn't, I've never considered that as something that is an arbiter between me and you being in a relationship with one another or seeing equality or any of that stuff. And I know there are plenty of people that don't see it that way.
That's what I was going to ask you. With you having that view, and with you being who you are, do you still see that these things exist?
Oh, sure.
And it's because I feel like sometimes black people are fighting like a dead horse. It's like we see these things all the time, right? And things that people don't necessarily see every day. And we become desensitized to it because it's so familiar.
Yep.
So when we do say something because it's getting out of hand, now we need to stop, and we're race baiting and we're doing all these things, and it's just like
let it go.
Right.
It didn't happen to you.
The unfortunate thing is that many good people like you, won't say anything. They'll just kind of let that. Not saying that you're this person. I'm saying that we need more of you who are actually making it happen. We're saying, look, I don't have on blinders. I'm going to hire whoever comes in here based on their character. We need more people like that. But oftentimes, those who we consider allies or people who are for us, they're very silent as well. And an example with that is when something happens, whether it's in regards to police or whatever, the narrative slightly changes in conversation. You'll see people, they'll attack you when it comes to Trump and all that stuff. But the moment that the neo-Nazis are doing something, they're also silent on that. But, when it comes to a guy getting killed in the street on film and he's black, oh, you guys are just, it's like, we can't get a break. So you see the struggle. It's almost like we become desensitized to it, but and it's so familiar that a lot of black people are comfortable with just saying, well, it happens every day. It's going to happen next week.
Black community too.
Absolutely.
You got silent allies, people who. So this is the way that, and the reason why I said that 4 years I don't want to have this conversation, but I don't see it happening is for a few reasons. One, 4 years from now we'll still be in the after effects of 45's 4-year reign. Even if he gets booted out in some way, shape, or form, if he gets impeached, we still got, the left hand of white supremacy, the left thumb of white supremacy, the white index finger of, so he's got a regime of people who are going to follow him, even if he was to be displaced.
Right.
That would still be doing deleterious things to this country. The way that oppression works is we always find someone else to oppress. Period. So this hierarchy, the way that it's set up, is always looking for someone else, even within our own community. So, we're a very capitalistic society. We're a very materialistic society. People get to a point where they amass wealth and they don't want to disrupt that. You talk about comfort. The whole initiative behind revolution is disrupting comfort, because that comfort that we've amassed in some way, shape, or form is rooted in someone else's oppression. Right. So we have to find ways to deconstruct that. So when you're talking about unity and how do we get black folks to be on the same page, how do you get beyond that comfort that you're in and get into a place of discomfort? Because that discomfort that you're in is growth. And not just growth for you, but growth for the community. We're not talking about necessarily redistribution of wealth, but, not looking down on somebody because you feel like they're less than you, but looking down to give somebody a hand up.
Right.
And that goes into everything else that we're doing. We're talking about black-owned businesses. Black folks don't support black businesses for very much the same reasons. You know what I mean? Like the same way we're talking about Black Lives Matter. I had a conversation with an interviewer that's like, well, do you think that it's important that we highlight the truly innocent individuals who were killed by law enforcement versus the ones who were guilty? Because they'll make the rest of them look bad. If Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, why does it have to matter, what they were doing or what the circumstance was? They're still entitled to due process. We have to get out of this position where we're looking at each other as being good and bad, good hombres versus good Latinos, bad black folks, good black folks. We do it to ourselves. We do it within our own communities. We got to get past that in order to be able to move forward. Those are the conversations that are going to be continually necessary, and it's not going to happen in 5 years. It may not even happen in this generation, but we have to be vigilant to make sure that when it happens and we get into these debates and these conversations that we don't run from them. I'm so happy that you're doing the work that you do. I'm so happy that there's white people who put themselves in a position where they're willing to listen and to speak out and to speak up, but it's not enough. And I don't be overly critical of white folks because it's black folks who don't want to speak up. Everybody has to get to a point in a position where they look at their lives and see how they have some modicum of privilege. Our privilege might not be the same as white privilege, but we have privilege over somebody else. And how are we using that, not just to make sure that we're comfortable, but to liberate somebody else? Those are the real conversations. If we can't start figuring out how to liberate each other within our own communities, we can't possibly liberate the entire black population. Can't possibly.
Go ahead. Go
Y'all fight it out.
I feel like, to liberate the black community, I feel like we need to go to their doorsteps. I feel like when we doing marches and protests on the state house, that's good, but the people who's not there that we need to try to educate and get behind us, who really ain't like woke or whatever, we need to go to the inner city communities, to the hood, to the projects, and be on their doorsteps and spreading the message.
To be fair, some people can't.
That's all that's being done is the marches and stuff.
Yeah,
that's all people see.
To be fair, some people aren't equipped to afford. They can't afford that time. A lot of people in our communities
that's what the
have to work, and so you're asking them to take off
have the transportation
to get there. That's another problem in itself.
As someone who's undocumented, someone that also who may have a warrant, someone who also may be.
Yeah, so there's a lot of.
That's what I said. We need to go to
where.
Meet them where they at.
We gotta go where they at.
But it happens. That's what I'm saying. So we had when we did the Who's Streets discussion. You know what I mean? You had 4 different activists from 4 different places in Indiana. You know what I mean? And they're talking about the different ways that they do things. A lot of the stuff that we do isn't publicized for a very good reason. Visibility can hurt us, number 1. Number 2, everything is not for show, right? So when we do a mass march or demonstration, it's not just to say, here we are. It's to disrupt something. If we're marching, it's not because we just want to be out there in the streets and march. It's because something else is going on that we want to disrupt, right? But there are those times when we go door to door and do canvassing. There are those times where we get folks together and say, this is what we need to talk about. This is what we need to discuss to fortify our knowledge. That stuff has to happen, but it's not always going to be in a way that everybody likes. So that's why you have to vary the tactics. So you'll see somebody do a protest or a march or a rally or a sit-in or a die-in, and we don't do die-ins no more because we're not dying for the comfort of white folks. But again, you vary the tactics, and it's not always going to be around optics. Sometimes it's around communication tactics. Sometimes it's around making phone calls. Sometimes it's around letter writing. Sometimes it's just saying, hey, me and you, let's go get some coffee. We can rap, right? And we did that before, right? So it's building those relationships on a one-on-one basis. Sometimes it's within a community. Sometimes it's stuff like what you did over there at the apartments. You know what I mean? It's a lot of different tactics over time, but it's not going to happen overnight.
And that's what I was going to say, but then we confuse and mislabel this unity as because we're not locking arms and shouting and, we're not together hand in hand somewhere on a street corner. And we've actually used that as a model to say this is why we're not unified, because you didn't show up here, you didn't show up there. But you have all these pockets like the Ross Foundation. You have all these pockets that, like you said, move in silence. That tutor that's at the school. Or those people that are at the school where nobody actually goes to visit, because that's really where we need to start in the first place. So we have unity. We have a unified body doing something. So just because we're not locking arms doesn't mean that we actually aren't working together as a unified front.
or like if somebody doesn't show up to something that you're doing, that they don't support you, right?
Right.
Like we get in our feelings. It's like, man, I put this bomb event together. I put together this awesome rally. You know how many Black Lives Matter rallies I put together where 14 people showed up? That don't mean that I believe that the larger Indianapolis area don't believe that Black Lives Matter. They may just felt like it was too cold that day. But we got to keep pushing.
So, I mean, from y'all perspective, what is the definition of unity to you guys?
Well, also just to also kind of stretch that even further, there's unity and then there's uniformity.
Yeah.
So we don't have to all look the same. We don't have to all be in uniform. We don't have to all be have the same agenda. We don't have to have the same way of doing things. But we should all have the same mission and the vision. So that's what unity looks like to me. It's not uniformity because we don't all have to do the same thing. As a matter of fact, we probably shouldn't. We shouldn't all do the same thing because we need help in finances. We need help in education. We need all these different areas, and law enforcement, all these types of things. So if we have only one group doing one thing and trying to monopolize on that and saying this is the thing to do, if you're not with this, you're not down with black people and you're disunified, then that's what we don't want to do.
I think that, and Ebony, you touched on something in regards to the youth and how we need to start channeling these things that we want to see in the next generation into them. And I think that oftentimes we get so focused on what we can do as adults that we often forget that these kids that are here are the ones coming after us, and we have to make sure that they understand what's going on so that they can, be model citizens and do what they have to do to make sure that, families survive and all that stuff. I think that, like, we had a group on here the other day, Tuesday, a group of young guys who are, Bloom Project. Shout out to Bloom Project, and those kids were fantastic. For them to get up here and open up and be transparent about the things that they fear and the things that they're going through, that was awesome to me because I'm just like, wow, I just never sat and listened to teenagers tell us what their problems are, and we don't do that enough. We get caught up in the adult lifestyle, working and taking care of things, whether it's marching, whether it's going to work or whatever it is, and the kids are the ones that they don't see attention. Yeah. You know what was interesting about that is none of them were dealing with race issues. And we're avoiding conversations with them. So it's like if they're not dealing with them and we're not making them aware of what's happening today, I think this is why a lot of the ball was dropped between the 70s and the 90s. I think that the ball was significantly dropped because I think that the adults did focus on what was happening on the surface and not teaching kids like us coming up, we were young kids, about what was going on so that we could not only be prepared but counter things, like make sure that we get a good education, make sure that we understand what's going on, make sure that we're aware of where we came from, all these different things that you find out as an adult. And it's almost too late. So I think that if we get sucked up in this, I'm not saying that I don't have anything against marching, but I think as long as we're targeting the youth and making sure that they understand what's happening and educating them on who they are, first of all, since we know who we are now, we need to teach them who they are. And if they grow up not understanding their place and who they are, it's just a cycle. And then we're going to have another Dom, or another D. Ross, or another Ace, or another Pete. We're just going to have another generation of people trying to do the same thing that we're trying to accomplish.
So what you mean when they said they had no race problems, like far they didn't bring?
None of them had anything race related, like as far as like black and white, like they didn't.
A lot of them, like they like Pete. They don't care about the labels.
Right.
They look at them as we all people. They
more character.
Yeah. Right. They judge people off of their character and how when they meet them and how they go off there. They not judging people off of he white, so he might be a bad person.
Depends on where you live at.
On Post Road.
Right.
Yeah, I'm saying so. I'm saying so. But the way they looking at it is just like they judge people off of when they meet them. They not seeing people and then just automatically judging them off of just basically off of what everybody's saying, because everybody putting stuff in their head. So now they automatically judging people because people saying this about this type of person, this type about that type of person. But then if you with them, that's how it should be though. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be to where they should have to worry about labels. It should be where they could be able to be like Pete, where they could just
it's not about whether you're a felon or whether you're black or white. It's about how are you once we meet each other. How are you and how our relationship goes on. I feel like I feel like Pete answered his question. I feel like Pete answered the problem. Like he said, what was the way that black and whites can mix together? You feel me? It's for us to not look as blacks and whites, look at us as people on how we. When we come to each other, how we interact with each other, like I said, the character. That's how I feel like that's the way that it could drop all the label stuff. When we look past labels, we all people, and it's all about how this person is. Because like you say, you can't if you judge all white people, then we would have never met Pete and seen what he got what he got going on. I was just like, well, this is just for all blacks little radio show. We would have never met Pete, but since it's not about his color, it's about basically his character and what he out here doing. I feel like that's the way for us to come together. We just look at us as people and stop with basically
absolutely. And the problem with that, I mean, and that's great, and I'm with you on that. But I'm saying like we need to make them aware of what's happening, because what happens is these young people become adults. They don't face those things, and then they become adults, and then they face some of these things. They start seeing some of these things.
So I teach a class at IUPUI. You will be amazed, and it's an Africana Studies class. It's talking about anti-blackness. It's talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. 95% black, and these are college kids, 18, 19, 20, 22 years old. They'll say they've never experienced racism. Right. They'll say that they've never had any racial interaction. But by the time that we get finished with the class, and we talk about double consciousness, and we talk about institutional racism, we talk about systemic racism, we talk about interpersonal racism, we talk about microaggressions and microassaults, they're sitting there like, man, you talk about a woke process. They don't have any way to synthesize it. So they can talk about the exact same experience that they had when they were in middle school, elementary school 2 days ago, and not have any way to actually explain it. But once they're given the terminology, it's like, you know, that really was some racistness. Like, for real, like they don't know. So when we're talking about that differential, I even talk about my own maturation. Like, you know, we watch, you know, y'all seen this documentary 13th, right? Yeah. Like, everybody should have seen it by now. But even myself, like, there was a time period where I viewed myself as one of the good Negroes, because there would be times where I would walk down the street and see somebody in a hoodie that look a little shifty, and I'm like, man, they probably up to something. They probably got a rap sheet long as my arm. We start to stereotype even within our own community. We learn how to do that. We start talking about those situations of, you know, colorism and the way that we view our own beauty and things based upon race. That becomes an issue. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about how the way that we view ourselves, our intelligence, our you know, attractiveness, all of that type of stuff comes from very racial backgrounds. So I agree. We have to give them that context. The question becomes, how do you give it to them in a way that they're not so jaded that they lose their innocence and their wonder and their will to be themselves?
And that's a great question.
I think Bloom Project has done a great job at that, because even though those kids did not experience those things, they were very aware of what they were, you know, some of the things they're going through. Them. Absolutely,
they listened to them. Yeah. We did the Bloom Project, the King's Feast, and they got one coming up here at the end of September. King's Feast in Fort Wayne, we did an activity where we did it's an identity exercise where we had all these different identities placed around the room. It's like, you know, male, your religion, social status, your education, your, you know, socioeconomic status, all these things placed around the room, and race and ethnicity. And one of the mentors started talking to him. Is like, you know, how do y'all feel? Basically putting on them what they should be talking about. How do y'all feel about, you know, the perceptions of you being young black men by police, by society? You know, how do y'all feel? I'm like, well, wait a minute, y'all are assuming that that's their predominant identity, that that's what they really think about, you know, 90% of the day. Everybody stand up and stand underneath the identity that most identifies you. You would think that they would all stand underneath the race, religion, education. Some of it was their sexuality. Like, that was their most salient identity. They didn't really think about race all day long because they never had any type of context to filter it through. Right. So when you talk about a group like Bloom Project or an organization like Bloom Project that's relationship based, they're meeting them where they're at and giving them the education as they go, as opposed to saying, you black, let me tell you everything about being black. You're a man, let me tell you everything about being a man. Well, what is it that you really feel like you want to know about the world? And let me take that journey with you, as opposed to telling you everything that you need to know and you're only getting a fraction of it.
And that's all black folks need. Because I'm telling you, like, if I was educated on a lot of the things that I know now in regards to the system and all this stuff, I wouldn't have grown up and had an angry period where I'm like, why didn't I learn this in school? You know, that's where the frustration comes from. It's like you live your whole life not seeing that, and then all of a sudden you introduce it to it as an adult in a lot of different ways, and it's like, what the hell? What is going on? Why am I treated like this? Why is all these things happening to people that I know? And it's like, it's because I wasn't aware.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware until I was like 27, 28 years old. Now I'm a grown man dealing with the stuff that nobody ever told me about. So the difference is if I had known that all these things were going on at a younger age, I could have countered a lot of these things by thinking differently, by saying everybody's not like that. Well, I had to go through that phase. So unfortunately, I had to go through that phase in my late 20s to early 30s to get to a point now where I don't even see it like, you know what I'm saying? It's really just, we need to educate the young people and keep them aware about the things that they're going to run into when they get older. It's not about teaching these kids and saying, oh, you need to hate the police. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, hey, just be aware that some officers get out of hand.
Right.
So don't grow up thinking that all officers are beautiful, and then you introduce to one, and then you become an angry person and mad at the world. So it's all of them. At all of them.
At all of them.
At all of them.
To me, it's so. This brings up this thing that I've heard here in this room.
Sure.
Language is important.
Absolutely.
What words we use to talk about things changes the way people hear what we're saying or don't hear what we're saying.
Sure.
So when we say things like white people this or black people that, that can't be true, right? Because what in essence you're saying is all white people,
right,
all black people,
for sure.
And that is never the case
right.
The only way I can say it is it's always not true.
Right. For sure.
And it's the same thing with people who have a felony conviction. You can't, and it's getting back to the label thing. Now, our human brain categorizes things automatically. We can't think about every single individual case. So recognizing that and fighting that and understanding that, it'd be easier to use a label that casts everybody in that group this way, but that's not really
absolutely
accurate.
Sure.
So can we do it in a way that doesn't do that? Because here's what it does. The people that aren't that way get pushed back by the language that we use because you're putting them or I'm putting them in a category that they don't identify in. Right? And we do that, and so now all of a sudden everybody who's white or everybody who's black or everybody who's Latino or a felon or whatever category, Catholic, Protestant, I don't care what it is, right, is other. And that's to me the barrier that has to be broken is the other barrier. Right,
and a lot of that has been put in place by America. By when you go get a job, it says, "Are you African American?" So subliminally, a lot of these things are already caked in our brain.
And you know why they're doing that? And so here's the thing: why do they care?
Right. Absolutely.
Well, here's why they care, because they're trying to make sure that the percentages of hiring fall in the categories that they want them to fall in. And if you don't identify, then they can't categorize.
Right.
Now, if you don't know that that's what's going on, then you look at it and say, well, why do they need to know I'm black? Why do they need to know I'm white or whatever I identify with? Well, there's reason behind it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's good or a bad reason, but that is the reason behind it. So that's one thing. Two, I'll tell you my perception. I perceive that people who are older have a higher tendency towards racism than people who are younger. I look at myself compared to my parents, and I look at myself compared to my kids. As unracist as I like to think that I am, my kids are far less.
Right.
So I wonder, as we progress as a society, can we foster that and not suppress it?
Right.
And I don't know how we do that.
Right.
But I know my kids, because I see how they interact, I see who their friends are, and they don't seem to have any concern with race.
And I think it's as simple as, again, making them aware. Because they're going to grow up and realize, like, this is what's happening today. A lot of people are feeling victimized.
Yeah, kids don't see color.
Not as ancestors didn't enslave, not enslaving you today, so what's the problem? So that, to me, that comes from not being aware of what has happened in the past. History, it's all education. All of this is education and making our youth aware of what's happened, how it really happened, so that we don't have a lot of people growing up victimized or feeling victimized because of not knowing what happened. You know, so now the finger's being pointed at me. Well, that wasn't my family. You know, this is what's happening. We're living today. This is 2017. My family didn't do that, but your family did do that. We just want you to acknowledge that, and let's move on. Just know that it did happen. So let's move on. Let's try and make sure that it doesn't happen again. You know?
I want to ask you something.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think black people in this country can get to where we are trying to, go to without learning their history?
No. If you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Okay. Because there's a lot of white people that will say, hey, that happened, in the past, to let it go, that did not happen to you. So why are you so fixated on what happened back then? Don't teach your kids that. Just brush it under the rug.
Right. Yep. No, and I don't agree with that. I think, and it's all of our history, right? We can't teach that it didn't happen.
Right.
And we also can't hold people in the past to the same standard that we have today. Society has evolved a lot.
Sure.
Right? And I'm not talking about just 200 years ago.
Right.
I'm talking about all through history, right? Life is different. We see things different. We do things different. The world is smaller than it used to be.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we forget that stuff. We have to remember it because we can't repeat it. We can't repeat Nazi Germany. Can't do it. And if we say it didn't happen and try and erase it through whatever means, now it's got a chance to rear its ugly head again because nobody remembers it. You remember when that happened?
Right.
This is how it started. We can't let that happen. It's the same thing.
We're still dealing with it. We're still dealing with it. And I think that that's the problem that people have. We want to entrench ourselves in victimhood. We have to be the victim. We have to, in some way, shape, or form, that being offended by statements somehow shields us from the culpability and the accountability that comes behind it. So whereas, statements can be made and you can generalize and say white people this or white people that. Well, whether or not a white person shows or displays themselves to be racist, they still benefit or have benefited in some way, shape, or form from racism because of the way that the country has been set up. So just saying or acknowledging as white people that they have privilege is troubling for some because it's like, well, I don't have privilege. I had to overcome this. I had to overcome that. Well, again, you're still at a place in society because of the way that this country was built, the way that it was founded, the way that it has been constructed. Everybody in some way, shape, or form has a modicum of privilege. Everybody in this country has been touched or affected in some way, shape, or form by racism. So we have to be able to have these conversations, but we also have to remove ourselves from the conversation in terms of being offended every time that we make some of these statements because we do have some culpability. We do have some accountability in it. And when somebody says something and it hits you in a certain way, if your first response is to attack or to defend, there usually means that there's something there that you have some culpability in. Sometimes it's just listening. Okay, it's not saying that you need to go ahead and quote unquote take everything on the chin with the innuendo that comes with that. But that maybe there needs to be some greater conversation, not just with the other individual, but with yourself as to why do I feel this way? Is there a reason why this has hit me so wrong? Because I know that there's some truth to the statement. So,
well, and then also, not in addition to that, I mean, racism is to me is such an easy fix. I know that probably sounds really weird, but it's a much easier fix than white supremacy and the systems of white supremacy. Racism is not what caused us to be enslaved. It was white supremacy that caused us to be enslaved. That's a system that's been in place since
way before the founding of the United States.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So when I think of racism, I think of a Molotov cocktail being thrown in a black business, which is totally different than white supremacy, which is, give me some good examples, strong
laws
examples
that are in place.
of white supremacy. Right, laws, policy, these types of things.
But
which is
also white supremacy?
bigger giant. It's a bigger giant than than when we think of racism. So I think we have a lot of conversations on racism. And that's, like I said, it's an easy fix because you can fix that with a generation. But white supremacy, that's going to take hundreds, or it's already taken hundreds, and it's been instilled for hundreds of years. Versus you can change a racist overnight. You can change him in a second just by changing his mindset.
But there's still power dynamics involved. So if racism is power plus privilege imposed over another individual based upon the content of, or the color of their skin, then white supremacy is still fueled largely in part by racism, because you're separating, you're dictating everyone else who is not white, therefore is less than. Well, and I have the power in this country based upon patriarchy and based upon, the fact that whites have enslaved other individuals, even indigenous people. They gave them blankets with smallpox to kill them off to take the land. It's that type of stuff. It's in the fabric of this country. It's not escapable.
Well, if you think white supremacy can also be based on class system too.
It can be, but again, who had access to the wealth when we started out?
Right, but in essence, though, it's bigger than race, is what I'm saying. It's class. It's racism. Racism is in there. It's a part of that dynamic. But what fuels it mostly is, well, number one, capitalism is what fuels it. White supremacy in the first place. So what I'm saying is, when we have these conversations a lot about racism, we need those conversations, but more so those conversations on white supremacy and that system of white supremacy. Because, like you said, some of us don't even know racism even exists. And so that's just,
it's been statistically proven that when people know their history or know what happened or have some form of understanding, that they're not as violent and erratic. You take someone from, half of us don't even have our real last names. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I can totally I can totally understand why it's a frustration. I'm past that. But I was at that point where I'm thinking like, dang, where did I come from, or who's my family, who's my ancestor? Yeah. So and we're past it. So we understand that that is fixable, but we have to do a better job of making people, our youth, aware. People in general, people have to be open to understanding and having these conversations. We can't get past anything if we just simply don't have a conversation about it. That can help in so many ways, and it's helped me a lot over the years. So in regards to Arborstone,
I was just going to say that.
Arborstone Apartments. I mean, we've had a great conversation. Right, it was very necessary. But Arborstone Apartments, the water was shut off.
Yeah.
Apparently, well, I'll let you tell it. You probably know it better than me because you've been leading the charge on making sure the people are okay. So.
Yeah, so about 3 weeks ago, the water was shut off on Arborstone Apartments. A couple of residents reached out to me to let me know that the water has been shut off due to non-payment by the owners. They was $55,000.
Owners as in like project management or property management? Or owners?
Owners.
Wow.
Okay.
So the people that owned the property, not the people that were renting.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was really kind of like a collaboration effort of the management and the owners not making that payment.
Okay.
$55,000 in a hole. So
water bill hole?
Water bill, and the water bill is included inside their rent automatically.
Right.
So they already paying for the water. So they reached out to me and saying they didn't have no water. It was located off of Arborstone Apartments, off of 38th and Post, and so
Indianapolis, Indiana,
behind the Walgreens. So that's an area that's usually unseen and unheard. A lot of people don't even know that apartments exist. So what we did was put out an immediate call to action. The Ross Foundation to spread awareness about the water crisis, and we raised over like 500 cases of water. Awesome. 200 jugs of water, and like within 4 to 8 hours, we had all that and got out there and spread the water into the apartments. And as we was doing that, the residents brought us inside. As we was carrying the water inside, they shared with us the mold they had. Every single apartment over there has mold invested in inside their walls and under their carpet, and half of the apartments ceilings are caved in. So when it rains, the water comes straight down the wall, creating more mold to develop inside their homes.
Right.
So due to us bringing more awareness out there, bringing Channel 6, Channel 8, Channel 13, and bringing more awareness to the water crisis, the management turned around the next day and put out 67 eviction notices.
Wow.
Now,
so wait, they, if I'm right, they paid the bill, got the water back on, and then put out eviction notices.
Right.
Because
Yeah. So we brought awareness to what was going on and put the pressure on the owners and management to make they paid the bare minimum. We talked to the citizens
just to get it back on.
Yeah, they paid the bare minimum because what we came to realize that they was in the transition of trying to sell it. So they didn't want to really.
That's what I was getting to. Like, why? So
they weren't really trying to put more work into the apartments anymore, and then the maintenance of the apartments has not been seen for over 8 months. Wow. So
that's a lawsuit.
They had a lot of problems, and yeah, there's a lot of things we fighting on with the 67 evictions, form of retaliation. They all was fake. So. It wasn't no court document evictions.
Okay.
Some of them was
some bullying going on there.
Yeah, strictly by the management. Quoted by her that just because y'all brought the news out here, this is what y'all gonna get. So
wow.
So y'all put us on blast, so we're gonna put y'all on blast.
So is this apartment complex closing?
No. So what we did was we requested that the new management got fired.
Okay.
The old management got fired because she was pocketing money.
Wow.
It was a allegation that she was pocketing money by the tenants. They was they've been taken advantage of. A lot of them don't have knowledge of even just collecting receipts and making a payment.
Maybe making cash payments.
Yeah, they making cash payments. Man. So they didn't really have no money flow, no tracking system. Some of them did money orders, but not all.
Right.
And and then some of these residents was just taken advantage of. A lot of them didn't feel like they needed to pay, because of this living conditions.
Right.
But under the state law, you cannot withhold your rent. This is one of the few states that does that. You cannot withhold your rent due to living in habitable living conditions.
Right.
So that's another policy we're gonna be trying to fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, man, I applaud you for leading the charge on that. Which is why it's so necessary for all foundations, all organizations to do something.
Right.
No one foundation or organization can do it all by themselves.
Right.
So everybody has to do their part because that can get tiring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Chasing all these different things. That could get tiring. We need everybody to stand up and fight for what's right.
Yeah, we had to get out there, get some legal representation for each of the tenants. Some of them homes are too damaged, so we had to reach out to Hannah Harper with the mayor's office.
Yeah.
She's a neighborhood advocate. She's been working with us in the Marion County Health Department, also in collaboration, helping getting these tenants out of there as soon as possible. Transition to better homes and different apartment complexes. Because keep in mind, most of the households has 3 or 4 children living inside their homes. So a lot of them have medical conditions of mold growing in their system. So
wow.
So it's a fight. It's an ongoing fight, and we got the legal representation, and we're gonna be doing a lot of lawsuits. And if they do, the old management still try to move forward on that old evictions, like move forward on those evictions. We got lawyers ready to fight the fight.
That's awesome, man. Again, I applaud you for leading the charge on that because if you don't do it, nobody will.
Right.
We all are obligated to do something, to stand up for something.
Right.
And what you're doing is commendable.
Right.
Absolutely. Ace Project. Man, you've been over the summer, man. A lot of people don't know your story. I've been kind of following up on you, and you run a lawnmower service, more like lawn care, landscaping, and you've basically been teaming up with people and without getting paid, going to different neighborhoods and cleaning up the neighborhoods. You know, not only cleaning them up, but lawn mowing, you know, doing things to make the beautification of the houses and the areas that are around, which is so necessary today. Last time we had a conversation about Project Cleanup, where we want to revitalize people's minds and say that, look, your neighborhood matters. You know, you can't wait. We can't wait around for people to beautify our neighborhoods. We have to be the ones to go out there and do it. So many different neighborhoods, you go out there and you see trash thrown out, like over on Lafayette. I see people drive past and throw stuff out the window on a bridge, and it's the trash. It's the trash can for people going over the bridge, and it's unfortunate. But you know, we have to hold ourselves accountable. Like I always tell my son, you know, if your area is dirty, people gonna treat your area like you treat it. Like you treat it. You have your room is dirty. Your people that come over, you got trash on the floor. They just gonna throw trash on the floor too. Yeah. So we have to hold ourselves accountable. So just talk about some of the things that you've been doing over the summer, and you know what your plans are for 2018, because I know this ain't gonna stop.
Because I mean, far as the cleanup, we do the cleanup and we do the actual business.
Okay.
The cleanup that's what we was doing with the Ross Foundation on Sundays when we was going up. We was going down the Far East Side and we was cleaning up abandoned houses. We was cleaning up medians, like you said, to make the community look better so they can feel more like they live inside the neighborhoods. But then also with the business of the ACE Project is to employ the youth, to get them some money in their pocket, to keep them active and keep them out the streets. Because, you know, like I always say, a lot of them, they out here robbing, they hustle, they doing all that for money. And any of them, a lot of stuff they going to jail, they doing a lot of stuff for money. So I feel like if that's what I put the money out there to get their attention. So now we keep you away with the money, but now also give me a time to build relationships with the youth. Because now get time for me to talk to them and actually get to know them and figure out what's actually going on with them. I don't want it's more than just we meet together, we go out, we do this. It's not like we meet together, we sit down, we talk. I'm trying to figure out how I can help you out. Figure out really, I want your insight on how we can make this a better program for you also. You feel me? Because this program is for the youth. So I get the youth at the table. We come up with different ideas. We had discussions. They come with me about stuff. I talk to them on a daily basis. It's all about, my whole thing is to be consistent with them. I want to be just a hit and miss with the youth. I make sure I'm around them. I talk to them. We keep a connection because soon something happen, they come to me. And that's what I want to have. Like, I'd rather them come to me than a lot of people, especially if they like, well, man, I need some money because something coming up. Like, I'd rather them tell me that. So we could be like, well, tomorrow we're going to go knock on some doors and figure out we can get some yards for you to get you some money. So you ain't got to go out here and kick in nobody's door. You ain't got to go put a pistol on nobody. All you got to do is call me. And simply, like I said, we go out. We ain't got no jobs. We go find some jobs. We go find somewhere to get you some money, whatever. So like, my whole thing is really just to decrease the youth violence, because a lot of them, a lot of youth done came to me talking about they trying to get some money. The only thing that's really been holding me back is just we don't have enough jobs for them. And plus, like I'm the only one that's running. I'm working on getting a team though, but right now, like it's only me. So like it's a lot of youth. It's like I don't have to to tell you need to tell your son. Like, I don't have to tell the parents. You feel me? The youth, they come to me, and that's what I want. I don't want to where your parents is forcing you to come to this. They tell their parents they want to come to this, and I feel like that's how my program be run off for. Basically, something that the youth actually want. We not forcing the youth. It's nothing that we like. Well, your mama telling you gotta go here and you gonna do this or go and do this. I feel like the way I want mine run, I want it to where it's something that the youth actually want to do. Because that's what everybody trying to figure out what they want to do. So with me just having something that I know that I don't have to even, all I have to do is just meet up with some and tell them what I got going on. They'll be on board for it. So I know it's what they want to do, and now I got what they want to do. Now I can also, like I said, mentor them. I can be there for them. They can call me. I can build these relationships with them. The whole thing is to keep them out of trouble, man. Keep them active, because a lot of the youth that I do work with, a lot of them they at-risk youth. They got some on fighting cases, some just they on probation, some of them just got off house arrest. So they got different problems. But I done been in their shoes, so I feel like they'd rather be with somebody that like he understand me more than just somebody that like they just sending me here because I was on probation. Like, they don't send them to me. Like, I come across like it's like I come across the right ones at like the right times. Like, I come across some and I feel like he needs somebody, and they parents be like, well, I'm just glad that he ran into you out of everybody, because you ain't nobody. It's like I said, it ain't no judgment. And we come around, like, they talk to me, and it's I understand where you coming from because I done been a juvenile. I done been to boys school. I done been on house arrest. I done cut out my brace. I done been on probation. I done been to prison. I done been through all that you going. I done been the situations the household situations. I done been through them. So it's like, well, all these life situations. Some people they go to places and they act like they happy, but then when it's nighttime, it's like, man, that stuff get they like. That's when the stuff get the actual problems that they deal with. That's when they hit them. But then it's like, who can I go to now? You feel me? It's like now, like yeah, all these people out here doing this, but like, who can I really go to when I really need somebody? Who actually have tried to build a relationship with me to where I can actually call on them? I got their number, and it's not no just like, oh, he just this big person. Like we are like I'm to them, I'm not nobody but just like a big brother. That's how I want to be looked at. I don't want to be as like, oh, he just this dude is just he just too good. He just got us working for him. Like, nah, I want to be like we like y'all like my little brothers. You feel me? We like a family. And that's how I want it to be. And that's just like how it's just to keep them comfortable and just to keep them really out the streets.
Do you have any plans for? I mean, that's beautiful what you're doing, man. Keep doing it.
Is, man.
You know what I'm saying? Because we need you. You know what I'm saying? Like you out there in the streets with these kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of us got like working every day and then trying to do other things to help out. But what you're doing is important, and I hope that we find a lot more people like you. What's your plan for the winter? Because when it's about to be winter and it's cold, so you can't really cut grass. What are y'all plans for?
Because see, the season changed, so that means the jobs change.
Right.
So it'll be different jobs. It might be laying down some salt, might be shoveling snow.
Right.
But it's gonna be just different.
That's good, man.
It's different jobs that we'll come up with because we'll never know until the time hit and people putting out there what they need. Right. Because a lot of it's wintertime. People they won't feel like doing stuff. But if we gear it up, we able to come out there and do it to get some money. Then why wouldn't we? You feel me?
Right.
Like, because this is what I do full time. Like I've been doing this full time for probably like the last about 6 months. Cause it's about 6 months I've been doing this full time. Like this is just what I do. Like my main focus every day when I wake up, when I go to sleep, like I'm focused on is the ACE project. How can I help these youth out? Because like
Absolutely.
I said, I'm around them a lot from my apartments to when I work with them. So I'm always around them. I'm always talking to them, listening to them, and just trying to figure out ways to like, all right, how can I come up with? Like I said, sometimes I sit down with them. How can we come? What can we do? Because like you said, you talk when you talk to a tenant, when you got to listen to me, like I never thought you even looked at it like that. They come up with some ideas that you would never thought
Absolutely.
of. So that's why I like having them at the table instead of me just putting something together and then saying, come on in and this is gonna help you out. I want y'all to be there so we can work together. So we can all put our minds together on this whatever it's a project or whatever we're going out doing. I make sure that we all sit there and we come together on it. So like you said, when the wintertime come around, we're gonna be doing wintertime jobs. When it's fall, whatever the season around comes, I'll make sure that we got some jobs. Like I said, and if we ain't got no jobs, then we can. It's nothing to go out there and get them. It's nothing to go out there and knock on doors. Like it's easy. And like I said, it's teaching them skills too. It's teaching because like now, if we get a product, we go out knocking on doors. They know how to approach people. So now they learn that they got communication skills. They can learn how to be an entrepreneur because they learn how to talk to people. And then also now, once they get to where they can be over little groups, they can learn leadership. So it's also where I can also teach them skills, teach them teamwork. Because if we got two of y'all in the yard, you got to do the front, you got to do the back, and then somebody do the weed whacking, somebody doing the trim. We got different things going on, so y'all got to work together to get this job done. Just like we talking about with unity, like with different organizations, everybody got their strengths.
Everybody's necessary.
Yeah, so everybody got tackled what they good at, and then that's how it come together. If you whatever, like you said, financial or education, whatever you good at, you tackle that, and as long as all this is being tackled, that's just a way to where it can complete what's going on.
Absolutely.
So are you? I mean, look, man, I commend you for what you're doing. I mean, and your passion, man, is just. I mean, it's really, really strong.
Essentially, you're doing what Pete's doing.
Yeah.
But you're doing it in the street.
You know what? In a different way.
From the youth and the family. Because that's why I said I told like when I first met, like I had to meet him because I'm a felon. So with him having the business that he got going on, like I commend him for that. Like because like he said. One thing I really like is he's like I don't go off of what feeling they got. Like some like say, they feeling friendly, but I got an armed robbery. So it's certain places I can't work at. Yeah, you feeling friendly, but you're not gonna take nobody that did an armed robbery because of the business that you got. So a lot of jobs I couldn't get because of what type of felony I had. So with him having now, I feel like I could have got a job there because I won't have to worry about. Man, I know because a lot of jobs I just know like. man, they not finna hire. I know they're not gonna hire me because of the type of feeling that I had. But that's really one of the reasons why I even stopped filling applications, because I got tired of bringing them my past. I never got to talk about what I'm doing.
Didn't need anybody like Pete.
Yeah, didn't nobody ever give me a chance to really talk about who I am now. Everybody or what did you do? Like, what's your crime? When was it? And all they want to learn about the past. They never ask, like, so what's different about you today? Like, they don't care about how you are. They just care about what you did when you caught that case. And it's like you can't even express. They give you a couple lines, so you can't even express how you changed. You can't do nothing there unless they call you in for the interview and they give you a chance to speak on that. Unless they do that, they never even get to hear what kind of person you are today. They just judge you off your past. That's why I like the business. Really, I like what we doing with the Felons as far as like going off without the labels. Like that's without the types of felons they got. I feel like that's how most of them should be. But at the same time, people this label thing, what type of felony, it slow a lot of people down. Like some people, like they got drug charges, so they can't work at certain places. Like I said, with my armed robbery, it's just different felonies. You can't. It's a lot of stuff that you just can't do. Yeah, they felon friendly, but what type of felons do you actually hire?
Yeah, there's a big difference between being felon friendly, right? There's you can go to a bunch of websites and see a list of all these companies that are felon friendly. But when you're the felon going to get a job,
they ain't so friendly.
They're not so friendly.
I mean, it's crazy how they say, hey, you pay your debt to society.
Yeah, you never do.
But that debt is never paid.
You always gotta deal with that feeling. That's why, like, I know how it is to be a felon. That's why, like, I like working with at-risk youth because I know how it feels to, like, I know where y'all going. Like, where y'all going is like getting that felony, like that's something I want to keep y'all from getting. Like I want to get y'all before y'all even. I don't want to wait till y'all get a felony then get y'all. I want to get y'all before y'all get a felony. I want to get y'all before y'all even really get to the juvenile system if I can. But my whole thing is to get them early. I don't want to wait until like, oh, you 21 now. You should understand what's going on. So now I'm a teacher. Like nah, like even then they going through real life situations. So they starting to understand. So we need to teach them now why they curious. They trying to figure out what's going why their household is the way it is. They trying to figure out what's going on, why all this race stuff is going. They trying to figure this stuff out, but ain't nobody there to help them out because everybody. So they not gonna understand. We're gonna wait till they get a little older or something. Like everybody want to wait until they a certain age. They want to wait till they 18 or till they 21 before they start breaking stuff down to them. But they need to be learning it now. They need to be. It's a lot of stuff that I talk to them about. I feel like. You should be like you 13, but you going through a grown person situation. You feel me? Like absolutely. A lot. Like I said, like I done had 14-year-olds. Man, I actually before I just left my house, a little dude. He like 16. He was just telling me that he literally just got kicked out of my house before I left. He's telling me his mama had just kicked him out for some little. So like I done ran into probably like 4 kids that done got kicked out that's been under 17, and they talking about 14-year-olds that's been kicked out of their house.
Wow.
So it's like these youth is going through problems that nobody even know about. They feel like all they youth, so like they good, like like I said, they were like, well, when they get 18, that's when they on their own. Somehow they on their 13. When I was 13, I was doing stuff. I got locked up with an AK-47 at 13 years old. So it's like, I know how it is being young and you just gotta feel like you grown. You like, I feel like if I'm walking around with this, like, you can't tell me I'm not grown. If I'm 13 with AK-47, you can't tell me I'm not grown. I feel like I am because I'm doing grown people stuff. So in these youth, they doing grown people, they starting younger and younger and younger and they feeling grown, so they gonna start acting grown. So it's like, it ain't that you gotta start putting more pressure on me, just like, now it's time to start building them. They want to feel grown, so now it's just like you gotta start teaching them more. They gotta teach them earlier. Because at 13, I wish somebody would have been on me at 13, but they feel like, oh, he young, he just reckless. But like, I knew what I was doing was wrong, but it's like, what else is to do? Where's the other opportunities at? What other options do I have? A lot of these youth.
I mean, you don't say it.
Yeah, they out there like some people. It's not that they not out there, but it's just that. They got to get to them though.
They don't have access to them. Like they don't know how to get to them.
Cause like it's a lot of stuff. Some of them you can't get into until you go through the juvenile system, and then they put you in. Like a lot of there's programs I couldn't get into until I got put in the juvenile system, and I got out and they put me in that program. They was good programs, but I felt like. I should have to go through the juvenile system to be in this program. This should have been before I went to the system.
Right. Preventative. Absolutely.
Yeah, preventative. So that's why I feel like I want the AIDS Project to be a youth crime prevention program to where I want to stop them before they get to where like, cause like I said, they curious about, man, like I want to make some money, and they see how everybody making money, whether it's entertainment or drugs. That's what they gonna try. So if they never see no hard working person out there actually earning their money at a young age, but they feel like we all 13, 14, where we earning money from them, like. that's cool, you feel me? But if you feel like, if you see nobody 13, 14, 15 out here cutting grass or doing whatever and actually earning some money, and you like, man, that's not even really an option in your head. You thinking like the easiest way for me to do, like I said, is go steal it, go sell some drugs, or you feel me? Let me go make a song and see if I can make it hit and blow up. That's how they thinking about, because they haven't been opened up to a lot of option that it is. It's a lot of them out here, but like I said, I'm still learning on different. Like I say, I teach them legit hustles. It's still a lot of that I'm learning on, so I'm learning with them, but also like, cause when I was in prison, a lot of people always told me like, they didn't know how to do nothing. They didn't know how to work on cars, cut here, cause they didn't know none of that stuff. So that's what they like. Well, and when times get hard, they was going to what they knew best. They didn't, cause they didn't know, they didn't have no other skills. But then once I got to get now and trying different things for basically to get a little money, I got to realize like, it ain't as hard as people make it seem. It ain't as hard as it look. Like a lot of stuff, it look hard, but it's not. So then once I got to realizing how easy it was, I'm like, I could have did this when I was younger. I could have did this when I was 13 years old. So I know they can do it at 13 years old. So then once I introduced them to it and seen they wanted to do it, they had the will to do it, and they like, I ain't got no problem doing this stuff. I'm like, this is what they needed. They needed something. They need something to do. They a lot of in my apartments, they had nothing to do. So with me taking them out, it gets them out the apartments and it gets them something to do. As long as they had nothing to do, that's when they get to doing anything. If they grades bad and they can't get on a basketball team, so that means they coming straight home to now what? I've been in school all day. I've been sitting around all day. I'm ready to move around. At the school, they're ready to move around. They're not ready to sit down. They're ready to move around because they've been sitting down all day. They've been in classes for an hour and a half. So they're ready to move around. So that's what. So with all that energy, come on with me. Let's go out here do some lawn care. Let's go power wash. Let's go do some stuff to drain out that energy out you. Now when you come home, you don't want to do nothing. Now when you come home, you got a little time if you want to, you feel me, to go out and play, but at the same time you gonna go out for about a little earning. Like, I'm ready to go in the house, you might just go in the house, take a shower and really chill, because you like, man, like, I'm cool, because they out there running around to drain themselves out. They out there because that's what they out there. They just running around. You're like, why are kids running around? They trying to drain themselves out. There's nothing else to do. So I figure I need to get them something productive to do to drain their energy out. They're like, well, he got ADHD, so he needs something. All right, well, he don't have ADHD, but he just need to move around. So I'm gonna give him a lot of energy. That's sorry. He just got a lot of energy. It's like the program that y'all putting out there for him is like, it's too slow for him. He needs something that's more. That's more at his speed. Yeah, he needs to be more active. So that's why with the lawn care, they always active. You always cutting grass. But at the same time, like I said, I bring people. I bring, like, I done brought them to radio stations. They done met D. Ross. I also do that too. I bring them to people. I bring them to different places where they can see different stuff. So like with some, like they done be on the news. They done be on the radio station. With them just having them different experiences. Like, man, like, it's more stuff out here to do. It's more that I'm capable of doing more. I can do more. So it gives them a little ounce of hope. Like, man, like, yeah, like, all right, like, I'm starting to like this. Let me keep on going with this and see where else I can go with this. So like we're just opening up different doors from. That's my whole thing. Just showing them like it's a lot of more opportunities out here. It's a lot more things you can do, but you got to go out there though and look for, you feel me? It's gonna come to you, but you got to go out there. So my whole thing is getting them out there and showing them new things, and really to keep them from going down the path that I went down.
And that's why
opposite of deficit minded. That's the definition of being, or treating youth as being not at risk but at promise.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're really looking at their untapped potential as opposed to looking at, okay, I want to keep you away from, I know that you at this age in this neighborhood you're probably going to want to be in a drug dealer, you're probably going to want to be in violent crime. It's like, no, you know what I mean? You have the potential to be a radio personality. Yeah. You have the potential to be a business owner. Yep. You have the potential to be, you know, an accountant, whatever you want to be. But it's all about giving them access to those opportunities.
To figure out what they want.
And they don't know what they want if they've never been exposed to.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really like spending time with them. You're doing relationship building work. You're doing work where it's focused on what their capacity for greatness is, not necessarily trying to prevent them from getting into something that's going to be negative. And that's why you've had so much success. If more people actually treated youth as being at promise as opposed to at risk, and worrying about what negative pathways they could go down as opposed to what positive pathways and trajectory they might have, a lot more youth organizations will have success.
This is every reason why there needs to be education reform in regards to how they're teaching kids, specific kids, you know, because this isn't just a black thing. There's some hood, Latino, Caucasian. There's kids that just come from these environments and they need to be taught differently.
Yeah.
You can't sit them in a school with everybody else and expect them to get it. They got grown people problems.
They got
to figure out what they eating next.
They got stuff
they got to figure
home.
out exactly.
Household problem. That's another thing. That's why I like I said, once I build a relationship with them now, I feel like I'm inside I'm more into their household, because that's where it starts at their household.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of kids, they go into stuff because of what's going on inside their household. A lot of problems starts off in their household. Like, sometimes they don't even understand it. They don't understand like what's going on. They don't understand how it's affecting them. Sometimes the parents don't even understand how it's affecting the children, but it's affecting them. What's the environment that they be around? It stands for a child's environment, because that's important. Like, what they around. Like, some of these houses that they in, it's a bad environment for them. If they constantly seeing some of them they gotta take care of their household at a young age.
Absolutely.
So with them having that, now they never got a chance to be a child. I got stuff I gotta take care of. Like, some of them, they feel like they're fortunate. Like, I need a job right now. You feel me? But like, who gonna hire for it? He need to be in school.
Which is why they resort to drugs in the street.
So I need some money. I need to learn, but I need some money because of my situation. But they don't look at it. They don't look at it from their situation. Look at it as far as the age group. He's young. He's not really going. They don't really pay attention to what they're going through. But once I got to really talking to these youth and really get to seeing what's going on in his household, money is not it's not the top thing, but it's something that they also that they need, because some of them they not eating in their households. Some of them they not eating. So with this little money, one thing that they always go do when they do go out and work, they always go get something to eat. Because some of them they go home, it probably nothing to eat there. Some of them they done bought pieces for their family, because they know they probably won't gonna eat tonight. They didn't go out there and work because it wasn't gonna be nothing left. So with that, just seeing that, just like I gotta keep them working, because like I said, now it's teaching them lessons, it's getting them, now they become more accountable. Now they working together, they meeting, because like a lot they be meeting new people. They meet like they don't be knowing each other, but by the end of the day you would think they did, because they done well, like I said, they meet each other. We all like her to get some money. You feel me? So I feel like if you were Ace, you feel me? You out here, we all on the same thing. So ain't no reason for us to even be. They all feel me? What's up? My name is Woody Woo, and they talk like that. They build that conversation. What school you go to? Football. Now they got their own little bond. You feel me? On how they talk with each other. Right. So now they build relationships with each other. Now like, oh well, yeah, bro, cool. So now when I picked one of them up, he like. We picking him up today, because now they got a little friendship. You feel me? Now like, I got a friend that's on what I'm on too. That's trying to do better too. That's trying to change too. They feel like, so now it's like we in a circle full of young dudes that's basically like. They like we gonna be something, like as far as like what we don't know, but we know right now we all on the same pages. We going somewhere.
Right.
We all right now. We all elevating right now. You feel me? We all gonna do something. So like I just want to just give them all like that hope. You feel me? But also just let them know like you can do this. While I show them different things. He might not want to cut grass. He might want to watch cars. He might want to do that. He might want to do construction. But you will never know unless you put it out there. And like I said, it might not be what they want to do, but it's a way to just get them as a little income to help them out to build what they really want to do.
That they like
exactly. You feel me? So he might be like, well, I could just use this money from construction just to he might want to start a clothing line. So he gonna come out and get this money so we can help it figure out what he really want to do and help him start his own clothing line. So now he turn him, now you got the money, we help you save the money to do it, but just figure out like what do you want to do though? What do you want to do with this money besides just getting how can you turn this money, how can you make this money last longer, you feel me? Pay it longer than you. How can you make this money last? And also, how can you really invest into it? Teach them about it. It's more than just tell me it's money, but it's not. People they get too attached to it. Let them know it's not really about that. Because if it was, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Because I'm not getting a lot of money out of doing what I'm doing. But at the same time, what I'm seeing is that's the benefits from me, from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing from y'all, from seeing y'all growing to a point where now I ain't gotta sit there and watch you cut the grass. I can drop you off here and go somewhere else and get another grass cut and have him on that one. So it's like now I'm seeing now all right. So now he learning. So now he learning something different now. So now
he ain't getting paid.
He learning and getting paid. So now that's where it got to the point where now he by himself. So now eventually I can leave him with another little dude, and he can teach the next little dude on how to cut the grass. So now he can be more of a mentor and a leader than him. And like I said, some of them they be in the system, so they got their own situations that once they learn how to deal with them and accept them and grow, now they can be able to help the young ones, because I'm younger, so they gonna listen to me. So we can keep some young leaders in charge and keep some young leaders in front of them. That's keeping them right there in that age range. You feel me? It's not no I'm not trying to be the one that's just where like I'm always over y'all. But if I can build some little ones to where like, oh, they got that understanding too, they got that knowledge too. Now I don't have to do it. Now you can listen to somebody in your age group. You might not want to listen because if I get a little older, they don't want to listen to that. But then if you keep somebody around their age group, they constantly like, oh yeah, I know he understand. He understand me more than he would because we only a couple years apart. And what he's saying is actually what's going on now, not what happened back then. He talking about something that's really going on now, something that I'm actually going through now. Not well, this was happening back in my days. They don't want to hear what happened in your days. They going through stuff now. So they not trying to hear about your problems. Everybody want to tell the youth about their problems. They got their own problems. You feel me? So let them put out their problems and let them try to help them out with the problem that's going on now. Stop talking about back in your days or what happened in your times. That happened, but they weren't there. They weren't there for that. You feel me? But at the same time, they want help now. They want help on how can I get out of my situation now. Like I'm going through a real life problem right now. Like I said, dude, he's got kicked out. He not worried about when you got kicked out. He worried about him getting kicked out right now. How can he get help? What can he do? So
especially at 13, 14 years old.
Yeah, and I done seen it happen. I done seen it happen a couple of times. Like I said, from the age of 14 to 16. Since I've been doing the ACE project, I done seen a few of them to where they like, you feel me, that one of them knocked on my door. I had to take them to another family member house. Another one, like I said, when I just left, he was just telling me but my peoples, they on the way, you feel me, to come get me. So I'm like, if you still here when I come back, you feel me, I'm gonna holler at you, feel me, see how I can help you out. So he like, all right, but like I said, he probably going now, but at the same time, like, luckily I built that relationship to where he can even trust with telling me stuff like that, you feel me, instead of just be like, oh, little bro, what's wrong with you? Oh, no, I'm cool, you feel me? That's what some people do if they don't trust it, like, oh, I'm cool, you feel me? But you could just tell something wrong, but when you could just go up to him and be like, little bro, what's wrong with you? Man, when they could just break it down to you, I'm like, that's how I want it to be, you feel me? They know I ain't gonna judge you, they know I ain't finna be like, man, you stupid, why would you? They know I ain't gonna be on them like that. I'm trying to figure out, how, like, what happened to cause that? All right, so what do we need to do now? You feel me? How can we stop them happening? I'm trying to figure out really the root of the problem and how can we fix that going on right now. I ain't trying to get all on you because I know how I feel when you express yourself and all of a sudden people they start downing you. They start talking about you. They start just coming for you. You like, man, like, I'm trying to talk about it, but I ain't trying to be just bash. Like, can I talk too? Can I tell you more about what's going on before you just get out on me? Some people they just talk to the youth. They don't listen to them.
Right. I was gonna ask you and D. Ross. Do you think that we kind of dropped the ball on, I guess, helping young people because we design these programs and we design things based on what we think they need? Yeah. Versus asking them what they actually need and want, and a lot of them.
Are you speaking from a teacher's?
Right. Yeah. Okay. And I teach 8th graders, so it's just so everything you're saying, I'm like, yeah, I know, I see it. You know, that young student who got kicked off the team just had a conversation today.
All right. Okay. All right. Take your time. Take your time. That's important.
That's serious though, because actually one of the little dudes I work with, he remind me so much of me because of what he going through. Like, he 18 right now, facing time, and like that's when I went to prison at 18. You feel me? But he got kicked off his football team because of his crime. They say they don't want him around the youth. He got kicked out of school. He can't go to school until his case is over with. So it's like that's really when my life turned around once I kicked out the basketball team. I was like 11 or 12. Once I kicked out the basketball team, now it's like, oh, you feel me? Now I'm out here, you feel me? Like, what's really going on out here? So now I'm out here with everybody that's been out here, you feel me? So now I'm starting to see, like, but then at the same time, as this going on, you feel me, a hard time is coming along too, you feel me? So I'm like, man, like, I know basketball wasn't going to pay me, especially at a young age, so what am I going to do to get some money? So that's what led me to, I never seen nobody rob, so if I didn't start off with just robbing, I didn't know nothing about that, you feel me? All I knew about was hustling, because that's what I had seen, that's what I grew up around. I grew up around my family hustling, so I'm like, well, I know this is a way to make money. So that was my way. I'm like, well, I can do this. I don't want a lot of money. I just want enough to maintain. I just want to, feel me, got me some little clothes, shoes, and I got some food. Yeah, I didn't want a lot of, so that's why I know the youth, they don't want a lot of money. They just want just enough to where they like, well, I'm cool. I ain't got to worry about, am I going to eat tonight? I ain't got to worry about really, I know I'm cool. They just want to be just cool. So then with him going through this situation, I'm like, luckily, I was there to be there. You feel me? Luckily, like he was able to come to me and be like, you feel me, bro? Like I ain't gonna be in school, so like what can I do? So now like since he ain't in school, if I got jobs that's in the daytime that the kids can go to, I call him because I'd rather him be with me than because he when I first met him, he told me like when I told him about the H project, he like I'd rather be working with you than going out here shooting dice or doing anything to get some money. I'd rather be making it legit. I'm legally. I'd rather be going out here and make some legit money. So ever since then, like we've been working together. But then once he told me what with the football team, I'm like, man, like that's when my life took a toll. You feel me? But I'm like, what if I wasn't around to be there for him? And then when that would happen to him, now every day, all day, he's sitting around like, feel me? Like, what is it to do? I need to make some money, feel me? Because every time he need to really, if we go some days without working or somewhere, it's something like happy. Like, man, I need some money, bro, or something like that. You feel me? He'll hit me up. You feel me? He'll be like, feel me? Like, bro, I need some money. You feel me? Like, can we go? Is there some jobs tomorrow? Or can we go and knock on some doors? You feel me? So if we ain't got no jobs and I ain't got nothing going on tomorrow, yeah, we can go. When I wake up in the morning, I'm gonna come pick you up. We're gonna go knock on some doors and we're gonna get you some money so you don't have to go out here and do something. Cause like he capable of doing it, but he don't want to. He don't want to go out here and rob nobody. He don't want to go out here and break. He already fighting the case. He don't want to go out here and do that. But at the same time, he limited in what he can do though. You feel me? So it's like with me, it's like it really ain't no limit. You feel me? It's like as long as you're able to really come out here and do something, I want to give you the chance to come out here and do it. Cause some people they just don't get the chance. They just he just man, I don't want nothing to do with him. Some of the kids I work with, some people they want to work with them because of the way people like what people say about them, or they like, well, let's see how you is in school. You feel me? Like he might not be the best in school, but if you get to actually learn, if you get to actually know him and stop and not judge on that, just actually get to sit down and talk to him, you realize they're really not bad kids at all. Honestly, none. Right. All the ones I've met.
Your testimony and what you're dealing with in regards to the kids are why we have to do more than push our kids into sports and TV and music. It's so many other things that they can channel and do. You know, not that they're not good at those, they're naturally good at those things. You know, but what if it don't work?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now you're faced with another problem, issue, because that's all you know how to do.
At the same time, we get back to if you've been playing basketball all your life, and then you finally get to where you finally figure out, you finally just realize I'm not gonna make the league. Now what? Now what are you gonna do? If you know nothing, if you know nothing else, now it's like, now how am I gonna make all that money that I want to have? How am I gonna do that? You know what? Like I'm gonna just work a job. I'm gonna just give me a job and I'm gonna just work and I'm gonna just see where they take me. They never think about well, since they ain't work, they ain't gonna back up plan where, well, now I got some money saved up to where I can probably start this business, or I can just try to work on going with this business, right? To figure out a business plan. They're not even aware of business plans or how to. They're not even aware of what they like. Man, like they first thing is a job. They're not even thinking about how can I start me a business to where I can eventually do what I want to do. I can eventually, like, I might not make the league, but I can make me a business. And I can give me a basketball team. I can get my own little league because I like basketball so much. But since they automatically get shut down from that, they just be like, oh, I'm cool. You feel me? I'm gonna just go ahead and go work. They never think of it's other ways than being a basketball player. Right. It's more position than being a rapper. You can be the mix and match. You can make the beats. It's more than just that person. But they feel like that's the one that get out the shine. So that's who I want to be. I want because youth, they want attention. They want attention. Like even as adults, they want attention. People want attention. Period. Whatever. They want attention. So if these youth, they seeing these athletes getting all this attention, they're like, well, I'm good at this. So if I get attention for it, I'm gonna try it. But then if I don't get it, then what am I gonna do to get attention? So now they saying like, what can I do? You know what? Well, who else get attention besides athletes? There's some people that's like entertainers, drug dealers. So now let me, why I get into the streets and I get to doing some flashy stuff, getting out this design or whatever I can do. Let me get some attention. You feel me? And then get a spotlight on me, and then hopefully that can make it work for me for someone else. But they don't know, like, it don't make it no better, or no matter what you like.
All attention ain't good.
Yeah, it ain't. Right, that's why we need more pro. Like, we got a church on almost every corner. Like so many churches. You would think that, and I'm knocking the churches, but I just think that our energy and how we're targeting the youth and these different programs, that should be major. Yeah. As many churches as we got, you would think that there'd be programs out the wazoo
Well,
that would
they
keep
had a
these kids.
personalized-
They
And something.
member.
They take care of themselves.
What it sounds like to me, I mean, first of all, you need a little more passion in what you're doing.
You got a whole lot.
He got enough passion for the whole
I mean,
room.
so you're supporting kids. You're not talking down to them. You're helping them see possibilities. You're being there for them. You're somebody they can talk to, get advice from. It sounds an awful lot like a parent to me.
Yeah.
That's the role that a parent should have. And I understand that that's what they're missing. And you're stepping into that role and being that parent for these kids that aren't, I mean, the stuff you're talking about, that's how I was raised, right? That's what my parents did for me.
Everybody ain't got that though.
Right.
Clearly. And so they need somebody like you or the church.
For sure.
And so the church isn't an institution. It is. But the church is people, right? Some of those people are working, so they can't be there after school, but there are a bunch of people that can. So yes, I think this is a great role for the church, not the government, but for the church to step in. They're in community, they're in neighborhoods, and that might be something, a way for you to expand what you're doing. Link with a church that's like-minded, people that are like-minded, that will help you do what you're doing, because there's only so many people that can get your attention. There's only so much of you to go around. How do you build that so that there's more of you to affect a bigger area, more kids?
Yeah, I just
more
want to make sure it's
at-promise
the right people that's in front of them though. You can't just put anybody in front of these kids. A lot of people
No,
they just
you're
put
right.
anybody in front of them and then wonder why this kid he just hard, he don't get it. It's not that he don't get it, it's just that the person that's teaching him don't get him. That's just all it
Yeah,
is. So
no, I get it.
Yeah, that could be it. I'm with you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's speech. No, that's it.
No, this is great, man. We have went to over our time. This is about that time where Facebook kick us off just because they like to do that. But this is a great discussion, and we gotta do it again. It's always good to have these discussions because y'all don't realize, like, when y'all leave this show, these numbers go crazy over the next 3 weeks because there's so many people that get to watch them when they're at work or when they're not doing anything, and man, people inbox us all the time about just being happy that this show exists and that you guys come on and are able to talk about the things they know nothing about, you know. And every time we get a chance to sit or have people sitting in front of us, I learned a lot about, you know, the business in regards to why hire felons. You know, a lot of people are asking that question, why would I hire a felon? You gave us every reason to hire a felon today because, I mean, you're basing it on something substantial and not something that's, you know, that's watered down that people are thinking. You know, and Ace, man, what you doing, bro? Keep doing it, man, and we'll help you any way we can. What you're doing is, like Pete was saying, is that you're being the parent in the neighborhood, and we need more people like that because, unfortunately, a lot of these kids are at home, single-parent homes, and their moms are working either third shift or morning shift or double shift, and they just don't have the structure that they need. So you're capturing them. You're doing something amazing because we, you know, like in my household when we were young. We pretty much, because my mama had to work, we raised ourselves a lot. You know, and luckily it was 5 of us, so we had an army of us. But you know what I'm saying? So we was okay. But think about those people who only have like 1 or 2 kids, and you know those kids out there. I mean, it's tough, man.
because if like you say, y'all had each other. You feel me? When it was really just me. You feel me? It was really just I ain't sitting in the house for what? Ain't nothing in here for me.
Right.
Why would I sit in there? I ain't
And
got
then
no
you
food.
hungry.
Yeah, so sitting here for what? I'm not finna sit in this house all day. Like I don't really like TV or the game. I really don't even mess with neither one of them. You feel me? So it's like, what else is in here for me to do? Nothing. So I'm going out here and be active. Like that's what a kid, they want to be active. They want to go out here and be adventurous and be curious. So that's what I was out there and I was doing. So it's like basically the streets basically raised me because, like you said, my mom, she always worked because she trying to keep this up and going, but she works so much that she got to work to get some money to keep it going. So if she working so much to keep this going, now it's like, all right, who here to raise them? they raising themselves, but at the same time, it's like they gotta look up to somebody. Who is that person out there that they gonna look up to? You feel me? It ain't no telling who that what model, who ain't telling who it's gonna be and what that person is gonna teach their child.
Right. That's good stuff, man. D. Ross, dude. Man, you like an army. You like an army in one. I mean, you just don't meet dudes, especially like we're not old. Like, you know, it's amazing to see like you guys, even Dom, and just having this mindset to just go after and to go help people. And it's like most of us ain't getting paid to do any of this. It's all just because we know that it's necessary, and that's the beautiful part about it. Luckily, there are funds available to organizations like that. So, you know, if y'all not receiving those funds, I mean, we have to go after that. We have to educate ourselves on. So what you're doing, you're basically doing non-for-profit work. So I would tell you to, man, get educated on non-for-profit and try to get that under your belt, because what you're doing, I mean, you could get so much more funding to help them. You know, I know Dom and Ross. D. Ross know about that stuff, so, you know, definitely link up with them in that regard. And man, Dom, I don't even know how you sleep, bro. Don't sleep. I mean, you know, it's on the shirt. I mean that was a perfect name for you, because you don't sleep, bro. You all over the place, and for good reason. You're involved in a lot of different things, and that's a hard hat to wear. You deal with a lot of different organizations and fight for a lot of different people. Ethnicities, LGBT, all different. I spend my head thinking about, like, man.
It's the intersection, though. Like, you know, we're never just one thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the crazy part about it is when we talking about fighting for folks, like, you heard the phrase intersectionality before, right?
Right.
And Kimberly Crenshaw,
Sure.
like, the best analogy that I ever heard of was back in the day they had this automotive plant where they decided they were going to let the women work upstairs in the administrative suites, and they were going to make the men work downstairs in the factory. Okay, so you had blacks and whites who worked at the factory. So the white women could work upstairs, and the white men and the black men could work in the factory. But what did they do with the black women? Right? We have to find ways to fight for people and make sure that there's equity as well as equality. We have to fight for people to make sure that no one's left behind or erased. And to fix everything is going to take all of us. So the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, the movement to preserve DACA and to make pathways for citizenship, the movement to make sure that individuals, regardless of, you know, whether they're non-binary, you know, regardless of what their sexual orientation is, you know, how they identify, whether they're trans siblings or not, you know, everybody has a struggle. Everybody is oppressed in some way, shape, or form. We all got to get the chains off. We all have a responsibility to do that. And to do that, we can't be out here, you know, eyes wide shut, acting like the world is sweet. We're just like those kids that we were talking about that don't know stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just like Baldwin said, if I love you, if I really love you, I have to make you conscious of what you don't see. That's our daily mission. That's never going to be something that's going to go away. There's always going to be something that's going to sneak up behind you. Oppression reinvents itself in ways that we're not ready for. So we have to remain vigilant. We can't sleep. And we're not doing it for accolades. We don't get no money. You know, we all got 9 to 5s. We do this stuff in our spare time. But at the end of the day, all that matters is the work.
Absolutely. There it is. Pete? Are we going to get to taste some coffee? I mean, we're not going to do that on air.
We're not going to do it on the air.
Some coffee.
Is it too late for coffee? Because I got hot water right next door, and I'll bring it.
We're going to get the coffee.
Yeah,
we're going to get the coffee.
This is how you get on it. Let me get some water, and I'll...
Hold on, real quick. What we're going to do is closing remarks, and we'll let the viewers watch as we drink some coffee. Y'all can enjoy us drinking some coffee. I have a bean. But what we like to do is do closing remarks. Just let the people know where they can find you, what you're doing in regards to your organization, and just, give them some good feedback.
Like 10 seconds you're talking about.
It could be less than a minute, whatever.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. It's real easy for us. You buy our coffee online at ihaveabean.com, right on the bag.
There you go.
And if you order it today, well, it's a little late right now, but okay, you're watching this at home after hours. If you order it today, we roast it today, and we'll get it to you today, or we'll ship it today, and you'll have it tomorrow. You can't get fresher coffee, and you can't get higher quality. It doesn't smell great. It doesn't smell
I'm
great.
taking these home, bro.
It's keeping me awake just smelling the coffee.
I'm over here like, wow.
Thank you.
No problem.
Ace, founder of the Ace Project, and if y'all Y'all need any lawn care, household services like trees cut up and hauled away? Y'all need any kind of grass cut? Even as the seasons change, when it comes to fall and snow, if y'all need any of our services, y'all can find me on Facebook at the Ace Project or my personal page, Ace Williams.
It is. D. Ross.
Yeah, the Ross Foundation. We have our Youth Matters Peace March coming up October 7th. So any youth, you got any kids or nephew, nieces, or little cousins or grandkids who want to be a part of the march, it's a march where the youth serve as advocates, and we let them create a platform for them to show their voice, let them be heard. And then we also have a community uplift project where we fight against visual oppression, where we cleaning up the neighborhoods and we going in the high crime areas and putting murals in the neighborhoods.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those who are not familiar, don't remember, Aaron Bailey was the unarmed man who was shot at 11 times. We still on there? Y'all see him?
Yes, we still on there.
I'm about to say, I'm talking to myself. No, he was shot at over 11 times in his vehicle. 4 of those shots went through the back of his seat. One of them entered into his heart. He was killed unarmed, and at the same time when they were shooting at him, they put his passenger in danger. There's still no charges against the officers. The FBI is still investigating. The IMPD has completed their internal investigation. We were able to secure an independent prosecutor, but now we're waiting on 2 more steps. We're seeking determinations of the law enforcement officers responsible for a very important reason, because every other instance we've seen across the country, there's always been no indictment for those law enforcement officers, because nobody wants to put the institution on trial. We want to put these individuals on trial, and we want to get some justice for Aaron Bailey. So we continue to say his name. We continue to uplift the banner of Black Lives Matter, but we also have pillars that we're upholding. So on September 14th, we'll be doing a screening of Paper Tigers with OFA for all of our education buffs, all of our teachers and parents. It's a really gripping documentary talking about alternative methods within the school and how they turn that around. We also have obviously the Hood Classic tournament coming up.
Absolutely.
Sleep. We'll come away with the gold
trophy right here.
So yeah, we got 2 straggler teams over here to my right. We still got to finish those sign-ups, but we got one
easy win.
We got one more room for one more team. So if you're interested in doing that, go to naptimedon'tsleep.org. We have the Black Business Bazaar coming up on December 2nd, empowering Black-owned businesses. Yes. We also be partnering with the Merit Group as well as the Black Chamber of Commerce, so that we can take these Black organizations, these Black-owned businesses, and not just get them some money, but teach them how to be sustainable and build some generational wealth and market themselves better and all this type of stuff.
That's great.
It's all the different veins that we got going on.
That's great. D-Ross, one more thing?
Yeah. Also, we are collecting money for the tenants in Arborstone apartments. A lot of them are trying to transition into different apartments and cannot afford the deposits. So we are collecting money, collecting donations to help get these tenants and residents in better homes and living conditions.
And then how can they make donations?
You can go to the Ross Foundation Community.org and collect and let us know what you're donating for, and we make sure it get directed to what's needed. And that's it.
The Ross Foundation Community.org?
Yeah, community.org, and it's on the homepage where you could donate.
Awesome. Everybody, I see you typing over there. Yeah.
I can
multitask. Okay, go ahead.
Somebody's supposed to do it, man.
Can you finish that for me? Community.org. Look, I just lied. I said I can multitask. I lied that quick.
You can multitask.
I just wanted. There's a scripture that says, "Wise men are for counsel, and young men are for war." So when I hear y'all speak and the things that you guys are doing, I'm looking at warriors, and this is what we need, because it is we on a battlefield. We're on a battlefield for our young people. We're on a battlefield in so many different areas, and we need young people like you guys. Even you, Donnie, you young too. You still young. You still.
Pops coming down the steps.
Oh yeah, I did call him Pops. I told him he had a beard and 2 kids now, so he's Pops now. But yes. So wait a minute. But yes, I'm looking at warriors, and I really just appreciate what you're doing, Pete. I appreciate you too.
Thank you.
You're a young warrior too.
I was young.
You're young at heart. That's all that matters. So I just wanted to thank you guys for all of your work. Pete, thank you for all of your work. I think about my own family members who deal with the struggle of trying to be gainfully employed and trying to trying to basically revive themselves and be a citizen and do all those things that never had those chances.
Yep.
And so I just want to thank you guys. I'm always uplifted every time we do a show. I say this every show. And it's not, I'm not saying it just to be saying it. I'm saying it for real. You see, you made me cry, so, it's real.
I'm thankful for y'all even having us to come out here and for me to be heard and have these even conversations.
Yeah, man.
These conversations, like y'all say, they need it.
Absolutely.
They need it. So I'm glad that we was able to come out here and even had this conversation. I know everybody learned something new today.
Absolutely. Many more to come. Many more to come.
Man, yeah, man. Hey, listen, I thank y'all, man, for coming. Just shedding light on a whole lot of things, man, that, you guys are doing and where you want not only this country, man, to go, but, where this world, to go. I wish that the world was, like a big basketball game or like football game. I mean, honestly. And the reason why I say that is, when I played basketball, man, you look, there were white people, Hispanic, people on my team. We never thought about race, man. Like we had, our goal was to win, and that's all we thought about. So if 7 billion people could think like that, when you just view yourselves as one person just going towards that goal, man, I say it all the time. We are all connected. And once we realize that, man, this whole world will shift. I mean, I don't know how many times I, have to say that every time we do a show, but
keep saying it.
I mean, I just think that it's really important. And I think about things, like that. When I play basketball, man, I mean, we never thought about, hold on, I'm passing the ball to this white dude over here. Now it's like, okay, we got to win this game.
And he's open, so
yeah,
the ball.
Right. Thank you.
My pass to my partner, my teammate.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. We celebrated together. We played together, cried together,
won together, lost together.
Everything, man.
Together.
So why can't we do that in everyday life?
That's a good analogy.
We need to
throw more alley-oops.
Exactly. and we want what's best for the next person.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
We're slowly but surely getting there. The beauty of it is that we can have conversations like this in our own arena where we're not being restricted to what we can say and what we cannot say, and that's the reason why we have this. So we're gonna continue having these conversations. Thank y'all for coming through, man. We can't be the gray area without y'all coming through and sharing y'all knowledge and telling us what's actually going on in the streets. We don't get to get out there much and do anything, but we get to sit in here and have conversations about it and let y'all tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. What all y'all do individually for y'all organizations is amazing to me, and just keep it up. Just keep it up. It's so necessary. No one organization is more powerful than the other. We cannot do any of this if we can't all individually do our own thing and work together doing that. All right, so I thankful for the viewers always tuning in, rocking with us, sharing our live feeds. You know what I'm saying? There's so much love there, and y'all faithful, and we love that. So we're gonna do this again. We just want y'all to keep tuning in and sharing. Peace out.
Peace.
All right, I'm dripping.
Welcome to the gray area. The Gray Area Media. We've obligated ourselves to be the voice for all communities, speaking on topics that include community, religion, education, politics, technology, sports, health, and wellness. The Gray Area Media is a platform created by longtime friends for the sole purpose of providing our communities with the ability to voice current, past, and modern-day issues. The Gray Area, in its naming significance, solely speaks to the area in which people shy away from speaking because of media-based constraints or contractual-based obligations. Well, I'm here to tell you, we don't do that here. So please, stay tuned in. We're going to go live in a few minutes. Don't forget, please add us as a friend on Facebook so that you can follow our live feed. And not only that, please add us on Twitter and Instagram at The Gray Area Media. Please visit our website at www.thegrayareamedialive.com. Thank you. Welcome to the gray area. The gray area media. We've obligated ourselves to be the voice for all communities, speaking on topics that include community, religion, education, politics, technology, sports, health, and wellness. The Gray Area Media is a platform created by longtime friends for the sole purpose of providing our communities with the ability to voice current, past, and modern-day issues. The Gray Area, in its naming significance, solely speaks to the area in which people shy away from speaking because of media-based constraints or contractual-based obligations. Well, I'm here to tell you, we don't do that here. So please, stay tuned in. We're going to go live in a few minutes. Don't forget, please add us as a friend on Facebook so that you can follow our live feed. And not only that, please add us on Twitter and Instagram at The Gray Area Media. Please visit our website at www.thegrayareamedialive.com. Thank you. Welcome to the Gray Area. The Gray Area Media. We've obligated ourselves to be the voice for all communities, speaking on topics that include community, religion, education, politics, technology, sports, health, and wellness. The Gray Area Media is a platform created by longtime friends for the sole purpose of providing our communities with the ability to voice current, past, and modern-day issues. The Gray Area, in its naming significance, solely speaks to the area in which people shy away from speaking because of media-based constraints or contractual-based obligations. Well, I'm here to tell you, we don't do that here. So please, stay tuned in. We're going to go live in a few minutes. Don't forget, please add us as a friend on Facebook so that you can follow our live feed. And not only that, please add us on Twitter and Instagram at The Gray Area Media. Please visit our website at www.thegrayareamedialive.com. Thank you.